And welcome, race fans, to the ninth round of the Season 9 of the Bandit Racing League. This year is the Geezer Authentics Truck Series, and we're following up last week's, well, fairly chaotic event at Nashville Fairground Speedway. It was certainly a relatively chaotic affair from start to finish, but there was some great racing throughout. As a result of a couple of administrative issues with race control in the background, a couple of drivers getting mixed around with points, and just generally in terms of timing and scoring, we had enough errors that we've decided to, on behalf of the series, we have kind of discontinued the result from that last race. So Brandon Jackson, who was already a race winner on the season, was already locked into the playoffs, is still in the same situation. He's still got his spot in the playoffs, so nothing changes there. But in terms of the points, the race result won't change. So just a heads up early, we will not be doing a race recap for it, and we'll still show you the points and everything, but they are the same as last week. So going into the event at Nashville is essentially like going into the event tonight at Chicagoland. But, well, tonight is the Slide Job 100 at Chicagoland Speedway. Slide Job, I would imagine, referring to the act of, and we'll explain what a slide job is in a bit, but sliding in front of another driver. It's a passing maneuver that we're likely to see quite a bit tonight at Chicagoland. It's certainly one of those tracks that is particularly easy to do so at. Well, not easy, but definitely more commonplace than some other tracks. And, well, we can't disregard last week's race because it was a really fun event from start to finish in terms of, short tracks are always exciting. It was just, some stuff didn't quite go as according to plan. But the most exciting part about it for me, if you ask from my personal perspective, was we finally got to see the in-person debut of our very own Evan Wall. So, Evan, you finally make it into the truck there. Relatively speaking, you were one of the guys who was generally able to find their way through it for the most part. So kind of just talk about your debut, what you thought went well, what you thought maybe didn't, and when are we going to see you in the truck next?
Well, I don't know when I'll be in the truck again. It definitely didn't go the way that I wanted to. I really messed up my qualifying time, had myself in the back. The whole plan was just to hang out in the back, try not to really work my way up because I didn't want to get caught in a wreck. But hanging out in the back, I still got caught in wrecks. As many caution flags as there were. I felt like I was doing a good job trying to stay out of trouble, but eventually I feel like trouble caught up with everybody, and it was really just who could survive, and I wasn't able to do it.
Well, it looked like many others weren't able to either. That Nashville Fairground's such a tough track, and here in the trucks, it was fairly apparent from the start with as many drivers as we had that there just wasn't much room to work with. So from start to finish, guys were having troubles. But generally speaking, I'm feeling optimistic for the future. I know some stuff was worked out, so I'm hoping this week and going forward, we're going to get back to the racing product from the start of the season, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it all starts tonight at Chicagoland. So the Slide Job 100, sponsored by Christopher Ferrara. Again, thank you, the driver of the number 13 truck. So I'm sure we'll see plenty of him throughout tonight's event. He's always a fun guy, and at these intermediates, he tends to do pretty well for himself. So don't be surprised if you see him in the top 10 by the end of the night. But Evan, going back to an intermediate for the first time in a while, how do you, knowing that Chicagoland is kind of a progressively banked track where there's no real straightaway on the backstretch, it's definitely different than any other track, and it's one that we haven't run in the series in a while. Are there any names you think could potentially pick up on a new, a mysterious track tonight, and those guys that will maybe learn quicker than the others around them?
I'm really not sure. You've always got to look out for those guys like Nickerson, Brandon Jackson. Those guys are always fast, but when I'm looking at the top of the boards, those aren't the guys that I'm seeing. Kevin Foster right now has your quickest practice time, and he's a driver that is always fast. And to me, he doesn't seem like he really has that niche track. He doesn't have that track that he's really good at. He's just very consistent wherever we go. So who knows? This could be his night. Jonathan Platt, he's up there as well. Aaron Smith, Greenwell, and Benny Hogan. They're two names that are up front that aren't always up in that top 5 or 6. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason's been running quick all day in practice, so he's a guy I'm definitely going to look out to for sure. But yeah, before we get too far into tonight's event, we talk about the rest of the race. We do our track preview and such as we always do. First, we're quickly going to go into our driver profile. We're going to do it before the race tonight because we have the time. And this one is a particularly exciting one because the fan favorite himself, it was finally time to talk to him. So earlier this week, I sat down with Hunter Henry, driver of the number 94, and we'll listen to his driver profile interview, learn a bit more about one of the most popular drivers in the entire series. And we'll be back in just a moment for your qualifying action. And in the eighth of our weekly driver profile segments here on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League, this week we were with Hunter Henry, at the driver of the number 94 truck in the Bandit Racing League. So, first of all, Hunter, having a great season so far, but I want to ask you, aside from racing, as we usually do at the start of these interviews, do you have any sort of passions, skills, and, what do you do for work outside of the league in your free time?
Yeah, so I'm a big outdoorsman. I love hunting and fishing, and growing up in the South, we spend a lot of time outdoors. We enjoy all sorts of sports, football, baseball, anything. But I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Uh, I try to go to 5 races a year, whether it be Atlanta or Daytona, Talladega, Bristol. I traveled to all those places this year. So love spending time with that, and spending time with friends and family doing that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of friends and family, one of the foremost things I think anybody in the series thinks about when it comes to you is that awesome, support system you have in the background. All those fans that come out to support you weekly are always putting your name there in the chat, and I'm referencing it all the time. So where does that come from? How did you get your family involved with the league when you joined, and what's it like to have that support there in the background for you?
Yeah, so growing up, my whole family, we all competed in sports. We're super competitive with each other, and played all sorts of sports growing up. So we were always at each other's games, no matter what, and we always cheer each other on. So as soon as I joined the league, I told my family about it, and I believe they've watched every race since, and they enjoy it. And we're always talking about it, and so it's awesome to have their support.
And in terms of support in the series in the Bandit Racing League, I've always thought about more so than just the people who watch at home. It's also about the fellow drivers and that sort of community that the driver lineup has built over time. And, personally, where do you think you fit into that? How do you feel about the, your place in the driver lineup as a whole? And what do you think you bring to the group of 40 or so drivers that race every week in the series?
Yeah, well, it's a really good family. We butt heads sometimes because that's natural in racing, and being competitive. All of us are competitive in there, but we all try to give each other tips, and we're always there for each other. And whatever daily life things, if somebody needs a prayer for anything, we can always talk to each other about it, which is really really cool. But other than that, I just I kind of like to fly under the radar. When I'm racing, I'm a lot more comfortable now in this season than I was last season. But I just try to be patient during the races, and just go from there. I don't try to be too aggressive, and try to give everyone room to the best of my ability. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but yeah. Other than that, we're all a bunch of good friends.
Absolutely. I've seen that the entire time I've been in the series, and really glad to be a part of that. Giving people room, and being nice and conservative with a lot of your moves, I'm sure has helped in the past. It helped you at Bristol this season. That was one of your best races. I think your best finish of the year, and it was certainly a key aspect there. So, provided you keep doing that going forward, I like your chances. And in terms of, your big picture outlook on the season overall, the playoffs I know are super competitive for those 12 spots after the locked-in winners. So do you foresee yourself potentially getting a win before the end of the regular season? And if not, and if you make the playoffs, what's kind of your goal for yourself this season overall?
The ultimate goal is to win, but these guys are really good, compared to my experience. Some of these guys, have real life racing experience. All I've had is iRacing and racing after school with my buddies. So, but going into the playoffs, I definitely believe I can point myself in. I believe this week here at Chicagoland, I have a good shot. That's probably one of my best tracks because it's a real technical track when you have to momentum driven, letting off in the right area and getting back on the throttle in the right area. So I really, really, really love that track, and majority of my wins on iRacing have come on this track. But when you're going up against these guys week in and week out, it's hard to get a top 10, top 5, for someone like me. But I just try to do my best and hang on.
And that's really all you can do. And yeah, as you say, top 10s in this series they're more competitive than ever now. We got a great driver lineup, super competitive top 10, top 15 section of the grid. And I just wish you the best of luck this week. If you're going to love Chicagoland and you feel good about tonight, well, then we'll be keeping an eye out for you. So best of luck, Hunter. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And there you go, yet another driver profile in a long line we've been doing this season on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League. And Hunter was a really nice guy to talk to and a really nice guy to sit down with. And I mean, I certainly to know that he's got that family connection to those people at home that are able to come out every week and watch him. I know it's very meaningful to drivers that are able to run in the series, and to really get to hear about not only that background, but kind of to learn about his other interests and see what he's got on the go. And I mean, we've talked to many younger drivers this season. We've talked to many more experienced names, but somebody kind of in his mid-20s that offered kind of a different perspective, and it was just great to talk to him overall. So thank you, Hunter, for taking the time to do that, and hopefully all the Henry fans out there we're happy to see him making an appearance in the weekly profile. But now that we've kind of we got a couple minutes into qualifying now, only 2 remaining, we can now start to get a better idea of what your order is going to look like. And it would appear that Brett Guzik is your current fastest time with a 30.98, just barely ahead of Cale Zook, right behind, less than a full 100th of a second behind off of him. Then it's Ricky Hart in 3rd, Cody Welch in 4th, and Davey Hendricks in 5th. Welch making his return tonight, was not present last week, and well, I know that's going to be good news for the many Cody Welch fans we have in the series. So we're going to keep an eye out and see if any other drivers are finishing up laps as we speak. I see Aaron Smith is on track. Aaron Smith the second. He was fastest in practice, so expect to see the 42 truck jumping up the timing tower. But tonight, Evan, when it comes to the drivers that maybe haven't quite won a race yet this season, I mean, keep in mind that drivers who win in the regular season are automatically locked into the playoffs. So a couple names come to mind for me, like Kevin Foster, Cody Welch, Brett Guzik. Which of those names to you stands out as potentially a winner tonight at an intermediate track like Chicagoland? Nope. Sorry, it looks like we aren't picking up Evan at the moment, so we will once again try to figure out this.
Oh, you got me now?
Oh, there we go. We got you.
I don't know what's up with that, but as long as you got me now. What I was trying to say was that Brett Guzik with the quickest time, but then Kevin Foster edged him out to get the quickest time. So those 2 guys are really the ones that I'm going to keep in mind. I feel like we've talked about Brett Guzik so much, but we would just be stupid not to continue talking about him. He's got to pick up a win here at some point. He keeps being up there. He keeps getting so close. But the way that Kevin Foster has practiced and qualified here, I know he's put in a lot of time practicing this week, and he ought to be ready for tonight at Chicagoland. I'm sure Brett Guzik has as well, though. I feel like it's one of those 2 guys' races to lose, just from what I've seen so far. But at a track like this, there are so many other drivers that could come in here and so many different things that could happen. But you know what? Qualifying is rounding down now, so I feel like it's time to take a look at our lineup.
It is indeed. Very quickly, let's just throw up the points so you guys know what we're looking at when it comes to the overall championship standings. I don't know why it is doubled up, but well, sometimes these things just happen. So Nick Nickerson leads the points. He is not here tonight, which is kind of an off occurrence from the usual. So, oh man, we got our age-old issue here, back with the graphics being stuck in the middle of the screen, an old favorite. So we will solve that right away before that becomes too pressing of an issue. Let's just get that out of here. And yeah, so it is time, Evan, to go over your starting lineup for tonight's Slide Job 100 at Chicagoland Speedway. On the pole, let's get to him, Kevin Foster. Again, he was the points leader up until last week. He's come so close multiple times. He just always seems to be up there in the picture, but in the end, he's just had trouble getting over the hump this season and making that extra effort to put himself on the top of the podium. But Kevin Foster tonight will start on the inside of row number 1. On the outside of row number 1, we got Brett Guzik in the 04 truck. And we got Cale Zook in the inside of row 2. He's had a great run as of late, so keep an eye on him tonight. Then it's Ricky Hart Jr. in 4th, Cody Welch in 5th, Peter Murphy in 6th, Davey Hendricks in 7th, Brandon Jackson down there in 8th, last week's winner. Then it's Connor Sawyer and Jonathan Platt running off the top 10.
11th place is going to be Jason Greenwell, followed by Michael Ramos, Nolan Gross, Aaron Smith in 14th, Daniel Stein in 15th. Then we have Mark Allen Bivens, John Graham, Hunter Henry, your driver profile, sitting there in 18th position, followed by Benny Hogan in 19th, and Jason Knock in 20th.
And after that, we got to scroll down just a moment to get through the rest of your field. Then it's Trey Ellis, the first winner of this season, followed by Eddie Hagee, Matt Crockett, Steve Ulrich, Curtis Yancey, Christopher Ferrara, tonight's race sponsor, thank you again, David Lakey, Connor Zook, Anthony Caetano, Bill Harkins, the other Henry, Roman Henry. Then it's Terry Condis, Victor Weaver, and Gary Wright, as well as Benjamin Lacey and Jeremy Elaine making his debut tonight, a fellow Canadian like myself. the driver of the number 90 truck, will make his debut tonight. And with that, we are now ready to go. The pace truck leading the field to the green flag as we wait for Kevin Foster to take control of the field. Pace truck waiting, still waiting. Here we go momentarily. And there we go. The pace truck is off. Kevin Foster in control of the field. The Slide Job 100 presented by Christopher Ferrara at Chicagoland Speedway, and it is green. Green flag for Kevin Foster. He's clear of Brett Guzik. Cale Zook in the background gets off to a good jump, but Cody Welch still side by side with Ricky Hart down to turn number 1.
Yeah, everybody's side by side as they go through turn 1. Brett Guzik's going to be up there on the outside. Kevin Foster down on the inside, but we're double file all the way back, and we're 3 wide down the back stretch.
We are indeed. That's Davey Hendricks popping out to make it 3 wide, coming down into turn number 2 there. Great run by the new paint scheme we're seeing from him, and he's off to the races, already up 2 spots from the start of the race. A little way further up, though, Brett Guzik trying to go around the outside, and he will. First lap, and Brett Guzik will lead. Gets all the way around. Kevin Foster trying to defend the bottom. Ricky Hart up top, though, keeping his foot in it, and he is fighting his way all the way through the corner.
Yeah, battle between Guzik and Foster, but you can't forget about Ricky Hart. And we've got a couple of other guys back there that we haven't talked about too much. Peter Murphy, he was in the picture last week, but not too much before that. And the 44 truck of Zook doing a great job tonight as well so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualified up there in 4th. He's dropped, or 3rd, and he's dropped back a little bit as of right now, but he's still definitely in the picture. Brandon Jackson's moved up 3 spots, but back to the front of the field, we're seeing that's Jeremy Elaine, I think, our newcomer tonight in the 90 truck. He is about to serve as lap traffic on only lap 3. Brett Guzik going to go to the top to try to avoid him. He's going to go all the way around. Ricky Hart's going to go with him as well as Brandon Jackson, but on the bottom, Kevin Foster losing steam there. He's dropped back a couple spots in the last couple laps.
Yeah, great job from that lap truck to drop down low. Did exactly what you want him to do, dropping down low so he stays out of everyone's way. Great job of that, letting these leaders race.
Up to the front, still Guzik leads. Ricky Hart right behind. We're side by side, Foster and Jackson. Foster trying to move back into the top 3. Peter Murphy as well. He's up from 6th in that 38 entry, sitting there in 5th on the outside line. And Davey Hendricks still kind of sitting in the catbird seat there in this battle for 4th, waiting for something to happen, waiting for an opportunity.
And now there goes Brandon Jackson down there to the inside of Brett Guzik. Now he's just got Ricky Hart Jr. in front of him. And it looks like he's going to try to go up to the outside of him. Ricky Hart Jr. down low. Brandon Jackson's going to be running a little bit higher line up there in the middle. We'll see who comes out on top after this lap.
So now it's Ricky Hart leading, then it's Jackson, Foster, Hendricks, Guzik now dropping back. It looks like it's going to be a momentum race. We're 3 wide on the backstretch. Heading down to turn number 3, Hendricks, Foster, Guzik. Murphy goes into the outside wall. Looked like he was trying to send it 4 wide, then slid up. Got into the wall, made some contact, and he is well off the pace now, losing a couple spots, including one to Aaron Smith, who's up 6 spots from the start of the race. Brandon Jackson, though, on the outside through turns 1 and 2, goes around Ricky Hart Jr. up top. The 99 looking good there from the top side, looking for his 3rd win of the season. He's going to get the better run off of the corner, but Ricky Hart looks just so solid there on that bottom line, having no trouble keeping him at bay right now.
Yeah, side by side, almost making contact there. The 99 on the top, the 64 on the bottom, and the 21 directly behind them. Kevin Foster hanging out behind them. The 99 going to go low here, right in front of the 64. The 21 going to make up a little bit of ground. But what I was saying before, the 8 of Kevin Foster is going to be directly behind this 3-car battle. And Brett Guzik is going to be right behind those guys as well. Just sitting, waiting for something to happen. But we're 3 wide going down the back straightaway right here. The 99 of Brandon Jackson on top. The 21 in the middle and the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. on the bottom. The 21 with the momentum here. The 99 is going to fall back a little bit. It's really going to be a race between the 21 of Hendricks and the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. for the lead.
Big push from Jackson. Hendricks, yeah, moved right up the middle there on the backstretch that last time by to take the lead. Tons of action here early at Chicagoland. Got some help from Jackson there, but now Jackson's going to go around the outside, try to take that spot back from him. Looks like nobody wants to be the one to let somebody else lead the race. They want as many laps led as they can take. And there goes Brandon Jackson on the top side, really pushing the 21 down to the bottom. Side by side up on the high line, the 21 slides up a little bit, but Jackson should carry more room through the corner. We're still side by side back across the line. Who's it going to be? Jackson leads that lap, so holy cow. Everybody's trying to lead laps here early. Ricky Hart's still in the equation. And keep an eye on Connor Sawyer there on the bottom side, trying to get up into 5th there on the underside of Brett Guzik.
Yeah, I was just about to say a huge battle at the front here, but there's a lot going on in the back too. That 3 car of Sawyer is down there on the bottom. Most of these guys have single filed out except for that 3 car of Connor Sawyer. Now, I don't know if that's just because he really doesn't have anywhere to go or if he's trying to make something happen, but he's trying to a little bit loose there, though, as the 83 is going to get by him.
Still side by side, the 21 in the 99. What a battle they are in right now. The 21 really committing to the bottom. Brandon Jackson, as we've seen many times this season, more comfortable with that top side. And we're starting to single file out a little bit. You can see if you look behind Davey Hendricks right now, it's just a big long line of cars sitting on that outside wall. And that's really the optimal line here at Chicagoland. We didn't get a ton of time to talk about the track, but that outside line kind of coasting your way around and just following the all the way around curve of the circuit is really the best hope you have. Now, Ricky Hart going to go to the bottom, try the apron. I don't think he'll carry enough momentum to get up into second, but he's definitely still right on the back bumper of the 21. And Kevin Foster, your pole sitter, who's kind of been out of the equation for the last couple laps, moving his way back in, trying to follow Ricky Hart for third.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are moving around the track, trying to try different lines, try different things, and they're racing really hard. I feel like some of these guys are probably just settling in. We know how patient the 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr. is. So Ricky Hart may just be hanging out right now, trying not to be too aggressive. And some of these other guys may be doing the same thing. Kevin Foster, he's a really conservative guy. He doesn't like to be too aggressive. I got a feeling that 8 truck is a little bit faster than he looks right now.
I'd say you're certainly right. Kevin Foster's a guy I think we've learned in the past is, well, he's got experience out the wazoo. He knows what he's doing on every given lap. And yeah, as a result, I feel like there's no necessarily need to rush. And, really at the moment, sitting there in fourth, probably not such a bad thing. 12 laps in, about to be 13 laps in here at Chicagoland. We had a minor sound issue, but we are now back with full working sound here. And we got to do this race justice because what a start we've been off to. Brandon Jackson up front, the 21 in behind. Ricky Hart Jr., then Kevin Foster, the top 4 separated by 0.6 of a second. And Brandon Jackson settling into that spot he was in last week, leading pretty comfortably. But further back in the field, one truck that I was surprised started as far back as he did, Curtis Yancey, started in the 25th spot there in the 51, but he is flying through the field now, up 11 spots, sitting there in 14th, just ahead of a really fun battle between Eddie Hagee and Connor Sawyer there. Eddie Hagee's photo, kind of a minor doubling issue, but he's in a great battle right now with Sawyer and Hogan. Benny Hogan was really quick in practice, so the 88 truck definitely a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, another battle that I'm keeping my eye on is the 43 of Platt and 94 of Henry. Those guys side by side battling for position right there. They were side by side battling for position, both going back and forth, and a little bit of words exchanged on the radio too. I don't think they're too happy with each other. I know Hunter Henry made it really difficult for Jonathan Platt to get by him, so Jonathan Platt moving up now, though. Looks like he's beside the 38 of Peter Murphy now, and he's working his way up the field as well.
A little ways further up, side by side between the 44 of Zook and the 42 of Smith. Aaron Smith tonight was, quickest in practice of anybody, but right now we're just seeing Cale Zook. He's found a ton of pace here mid-season so far, and he just showed the 42 what's up. Went right by him, had Brett Guzik following him, and now Cale Zook in the 44 truck is up in the top 5.
Yeah, great job from him, and a great job from Brett Guzik just to hang out right here. Hanging out in this top 5, top 10 area, just hanging out up front, trying to ride along. You got to think we have a long race to go here, lap 16 of 100, and a great view right there with the Evanwall Media on the back of Brett Guzik's truck. Thank you to Brett for running that. I really do appreciate it. It makes me just want to talk about him even more. A great looking truck in the 04, and a great job for him to hang out in 6th position right now with plenty of time left to go and plenty of time for him to attack as this race moves on.
Looking a little ways further back, we got Jason Greenwell trying to chase down a very similar looking truck in Cody Welch. He is currently sitting in 8th at the moment, and Cody Welch making his return tonight, and hopefully for the best. The Flushing, Michigan native, now he's got Jason Greenwell taking a peek underneath, but no, thinks better of it. He's going to wait for the time being, and the Welch Army there, I'm sure in full force sitting in the chat. And tonight, he's still looking for that first win of the season. He had 3 in total last year and has yet to get number 1 this season. So keep an eye on him tonight. He's often been good at the intermediates. But a little ways further up in the field, that Brett Guzik, Cale Zook battle we were alluding to a moment ago that was just about to start. Well, Brett Guzik has got by, but now it's going to be Zook to the bottom, down onto the apron. We've seen a couple guys try it down there tonight, and it's looking like it's going to work for those that take momentum off of turn number 4, and he did. But Brett Guzik on the top side, looking good. I mean, it's really tough to tell. I saw this week in practice kind of a variety of lines where we're eligible. I think that middle line is going to be the quickest, but I mean, early on in tonight's event, Evan, it's looking tough to figure out where to go.
Yeah, it is, and we've seen that with this battle up front here. While we've been talking about other guys, this battle up front has really been heating up. Brandon Jackson still up front, but Davey Hendricks in the 21 directly behind him. He's been trying different lanes, and he's doing that right now down on the apron, as it looks like Ricky Hart Jr. may take advantage of him going down on the apron, heading up to the high side. But yeah, Davey Hendricks really all over the track, trying to see what he can, see where Brandon Jackson's running, run somewhere different, and just try and make something work. May not have worked out for him, though, as now he's going to be side-by-side with the 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr. It's going to be a side-by-side battle for second position instead of a battle for the lead.
A little ways further back quickly, Cody Welch just got the move done again on Jason Greenwell, who passed him momentarily. Jonathan Platt's trying to get involved. We might go 3 wide across the starting line. Looks like we will. There go some of the quickest trucks in the series, and they're duking it out. Cody Welch almost gets taken out by Jason Greenwell, who slides up from the bottom line to block. Doesn't quite get it to work, but he does get in front of the 85. Jonathan Platt might get 2 in one go. No, not to be, though. Coming off of truck number 2, just had no momentum. And the 83 and the 85 truck are just going to fly by him, kind of training past.
Yeah, Jonathan Platt moving his way up, and so is Brett Guzik. Brett Guzik has got past Aaron Smith. He's got past another driver, I believe. Not sure who that was that he got past, but now he's working on Kevin Foster in the 8 truck. Brett Guzik now sitting in 5th position.
And you can see from the perspective of the 04 truck up ahead, the battle for the lead is continuing. Here we go. Brandon Jackson, Ricky Hart, once again. 2 guys who have plenty of experience in this series, have been in here for, well, certainly longer than I have. And I mean, Ricky Hart, former champion, Brandon Jackson, many-time race winner. This is one of those battles that you know, no matter how it ends, it's going to be entertaining. And right now, the 99 truck continues to lead now on lap number 22. I got word from Matt Crockett, our very own in the series, a couple minutes ago that, well, the pit stints are going to be, let me just confirm so we know what information to give. Yes, 25 to 30 laps in terms of fuel. So you're going to have to do 1 double tire run because there are only 2 sets of tires available in the pits. So fuel strategy could come into play in just a moment, but for the time being, Brandon Jackson, I'm pretty sure Evan is probably content to be leading at this point in the race.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, but who definitely isn't content is Jonathan Platt. That 43 is battling with the 83, and he just got by the 83. They were side by side for probably 3 or 4 laps, but Platt was able to make the move on him and move up into 8th position, leaving Greenwell back in 9th. Greenwell not too far back, though. He's right on that Georgia Bulldogs rear bumper.
The pompous man himself from Mount Vernon, Indianapolis, or Indiana, I should say, to be more correct. He is flying. The 83 truck He's doing his best to get back into the equation. He's already up 2 spots from earlier in the race, and he just got by Cody Welch, again, 3-time race winner last season. So Jason Greenwell, similar to Cale Zook, a guy who's definitely making a great season for himself and has definitely improved, well, leaps and bounds from last season when he was already good. But right now, he may have to focus more on defense than offense. Jonathan Platt is starting to, well, really pull away. The 43 truck looking good right now. But Jason Greenwell is going to have to keep his eyes backwards if he wants to stay ahead of the hard-charging Cody Welch.
Yeah, Georgia got a win just barely. Now that college football season has started, their first game of the year, Georgia just barely got that win. I'm sure Jonathan Platt is trying to do the same thing, come out here at Chicago and get a win here tonight. But yet again, we look back towards the front of the field as the battle is heating up yet again. It cools off and then it heats up. Brandon Jackson still out front, but his mirror is not empty by any means. The 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. right on his tail. The 21 of Davey Hendricks going to be directly behind him. These guys will get together. They'll go all over the track, and they'll spread out a little bit more. A couple laps later, they'll be back together racing hard again.
And keep in mind, we're just about to get into a fuel stint as well, or the end of the fuel stint as well. We're just about to see some green flag pit stops. So this is going to get interesting. The question becomes, when do you pit? You know, what's your strategy, big picture? And if you're somebody like maybe a Davey Hendricks who's having trouble getting by these 2 guys up front, maybe the best plan is just to try to do it in the pits and do it on your in and out lap. But Ricky Hart peeking to the top side again. Goes right to the wall, the tallest I've seen somebody get on that outside banking really this entire race. So he is trying something different, and he's going to get a great run off the corner. Jackson didn't manage to clear, so Ricky Hart on the outside. Keep an eye on the 64 truck, and Davey Hendricks, still plenty of opportunity. Who does he want to go with?
Yeah, Brandon Jackson still with the lead right now, but it's going to be close as they're side by side, and just as good of a side-by-side battle directly behind them. It's going to be the 04 of Brett Guzik with the 8 of Kevin Foster on his outside. The 42 of Smith going to look to the inside, not going to make anything happen of it, but side-by-side for first and side-by-side for 4th right now. 2 great battles on this track.
Beginning to see green flag pit stops. Platt, Welch, Hogan, and Condis all in the pits. But right now, yeah, this is the battle to watch. And Kevin Foster, just like we saw a moment ago with Ricky Hart, showing that outside line has a ton of potential. You get a much better run off the corner, and as long as you can make sure that the car on the bottom doesn't clear you, it might be the best way to go. And Aaron Smith, as you said, Evan, is keeping himself in this fight. Now he's to the outside of Brett Guzik.
Brandon Jackson jumping down pit road. He'll be one of the first leaders to head onto pit road.
Yes, indeed. The leader is going to come down pit road, and that will give the the title of race leader over to Ricky Hart Jr., who probably could have taken it on track with just a couple more laps, knowing that way that battle was going. But Davey Hendricks still in the picture right behind him. So now it's Jackson, Dan Stein, Mark Allen Bivens, Hunter Henry, Jackson Knock, Nolan Gross, Anthony Caetano, Roman Henry coming down pit road, and add 2 more names to that list. Ricky Hart's on, and Davey Hendricks comes in as well. So the 21 truck, not too far behind. This is going to really... it's going to tell you a ton about not only how well they can pull into their pit boxes, but how quick they can make their out laps. So keep an eye on these 2 trucks and where they rejoin relative to Brandon Jackson. But right now, Matt Crockett's info said 25 to 30 laps on a tank of gas, and we are now reaching the high end of that estimate. So the 04 truck and the 42 trying to stretch every last lap they can out of the fuel tank.
Yeah, and pit road's really where all the action is going to be at, and that's going to show you the good drivers from the not so good drivers, the experienced from the inexperienced, because you can be great on the track, but if you can't pull into your pit stall cleanly, if you can't get onto pit road cleanly, then that's really going to be the difference of some of these races, especially these guys up front, because some of these really good guys, they pride themselves on being able to get on and off pit road cleanly, and that can really make or break a race like this tonight. You saw those top 3 drivers, really top 5 drivers, were all together. This is what can really separate them. This is what can get you a big lead, or you can fall way back just by what you do on pit road.
And speaking to that point exactly, the 21 truck had the best outlap of anybody, and as a result is now your new race leader, provided Brett Guzik does not win the race off pit road, which it looks like he will not. So he should still make his way back into the top 5, if not the top 10. But right now it is the 2 leaders, Davey Hendricks and Brandon Jackson, who are kind of in a really in land by themselves. They're in their own territory, 2.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field. So the battle for the lead is going to get a little bit more scarce than it was a moment ago. But further back, Ricky Hart did not win out in that battle with Davey Hendricks. Remember, I was talking about, it was going to be a perfect estimate of how well people could do on pit road and getting off, and maybe give us hints for later. It looked like Davey Hendricks was just that little bit quicker, got about 2 seconds on him. And right now, as we can see, Evan, with how the draft is going to be so important, it would seem the way guys were able to stick together, losing that pack in front for Ricky Hart could be huge.
Yeah, it seems like it could be. It's not as big of a deal here as at some super speedway or something like that, but it definitely still matters at a track like this. But yeah, Davey Hendricks with that great time, it really shows you how much that did matter. But here now you see the 99 of Brandon Jackson side by side with Ricky Hart Jr. and Ricky Hart Jr., the 64, going to be able to easily slide under him and past him.
Just like that, Ricky Hart makes up 2 seconds in 2 laps, and almost starting to wonder, Evan, did the top 2 not take tires like Hendricks and Jackson? I mean, look at the gap he's made up on Jackson in 1 lap already. I'm wondering if we're starting to see those strategies diverge, because he will have to, if we go green all the way through, make 1 non-pit or non-tire pit stop. So you'll have to do a double stint, and it's looking like Ricky Hart is going to save that double stint for a little bit later.
Yeah, I would say with the way that it's going on track right now, I would definitely guess that is exactly what has happened. Ricky Hart Jr. flying by these 2 guys. There wasn't anything that the 21 and the 99 were even trying to do to stop him. So I would say that they are definitely not taking tires this time. They're just going to run this stint on older tires, and that'll help them out a little bit later on down the race, where it may help Ricky Hart Jr. now, it may hurt him. Who knows how it's going to play out when it comes to the end.
Just want to look a little ways back further in the field. A couple of drivers to point out. Benjamin Lacey up 17 spots from the start of the race. Started in second to last and 35th. Has since moved up all the way to 18th. And, Benjamin Lacey, I believe, does have a win this season. Has already locked himself into the playoffs, and he was in the Final Four last year. So this race may not matter quite as much as it does to him as it does for some other drivers in the series. But irregardless, he is off to a flying start there, looking like Sergio Perez in the F1 race the other day. If you're going to start at the back and you're quick, you got to be flying by guys once you finally get some forward momentum, and there he is, and he is moving his way up as well. Victor Weaver, a shout out to him, is up 12 spots, and Curtis Yancey as well, up 12 spots from 25th and still sitting in 13th, so continuing his charge towards the top 10.
Yeah, and a couple of these guys now are now locked into the playoffs, so they really don't necessarily have to show up. They don't necessarily have to compete here week in and week out. But the thing is, I haven't seen one driver that really comes in with that mentality. I almost expected some of them to. I expected some to be like, well, I'm guaranteed into the playoffs. Why should I really try too hard? I haven't seen one driver do that. These guys are here to have fun. They're here to have a good time. And every single one of these guys wants to come out here and win a race. But yeah, on track right now, what you're showing, great battle here. The 04 of Brett Guzik, the 94 of Henry Smith, the 88 of Hogan. A great battle here for 10th position. All these guys mixing it up for a couple of laps now.
Benny Hogan as well, yeah, sitting on the inside, leading this miniature pack of, I think it's 5 trucks here, battling from effectively 5th all the way down to even as far back as 10th. Yeah, he's leading this group right now, and he has moved himself up 14 spots since the start of the race. So Benny Hogan, he was quick in practice, and he's quick again. Potentially a guy that could come away with his first podium of the season. Same with the guy right behind him, who just made a beautiful 3-wide move down the inside through 1 and 2. Hunter Henry, tonight's driver profile, picked the perfect time to be this quick, and again, he's a guy as well that could find himself in the top 3 pretty easily tonight with this pace, as long as, well, he can make up a little bit of ground under the pit stops or just find a way to bridge the gap to Brandon Jackson and Cody Welch, the first of which is now about to get passed by Benny Hogan, so he is right there, the 85 truck. He was doing pretty well for himself in this current stint, but we're starting to see as we go a little bit further, potentially some more tire strategy coming into play.
Yeah, this is just one of those times where you have to keep reminding yourself that you don't know what strategy these guys are on. So you see some guys fly by other guys, and you immediately think they're slow, they're fast here. That's just not how it works. You got to constantly remind yourself, because even as a commentator, I want to say, wow, they really flew by them. This person's doing a great job. This person is sucking tonight. You just got to remind yourself that there's different tire strategies, and it doesn't matter who's passing who now. You got to remember, these guys are thinking about later on in the race. We still have a long way to go. We're just now on lap 39, lap 40 of 100. Still at least one more pit stop to go, probably more than that, I believe. So plenty of time for these drivers to actually gain momentum and to actually get up towards the front to try and win this race.
Absolutely. I think minimum 2 pit stops left based on the fuel cycle, so there's plenty of time right now. And he's now about 8 seconds ahead of Davey Hendricks in second, so it's only fair to talk about your current race leader, Ricky Hart. Again, I think he did take tires in that last pit stop, hence why he would be making up such huge gains on the guys behind. But now we got a battle for third. Benny Hogan, we talked about a little bit earlier, a guy trying to sneak his way into the podium, up 16 spots. And right now he is doing so under the bottom side of Brandon Jackson, who I can all but guarantee did not take tires. I'm going to wonder if the 88 and the 94 did, because, well, no offense to them, but Brandon Jackson has fallen back about 3 or 4 seconds in about 5 laps, and that seems relatively uncharacteristic. But for the time being, we're starting to see those guys taking tires early, moving their way through the field. And I almost wonder, Evan, usually in a race with so many battles, so many cautions, stuff like that, track position would be huge. But tonight, like we kind of saw at Atlanta, when we have these strategy races, track position doesn't really make up a ton of difference, does it?
Well, I feel like track position is just a huge gamble, because like Ricky Hart Jr. right now, what I know that his plan is, he's trying to fly as far as he can, get out as far ahead as he can, and his plan, or what he is hoping is going to happen, is he's hoping that it's going to go green all throughout this pit cycle, and everyone is going to have to pit again before a caution comes out, because if a caution comes out right now, it's going to bunch up the field, and there's going to be no reason for the way that he just took off, burned his tires up, and ran out and got in front of everybody. So he's hoping that he can get out there, he can go pit, and he'll have that advantage of the time when he comes down pit road. But it's just a big gamble. All of pit strategy really is, because you don't know when cautions are going to come. You don't know when you're going to have traffic. So it's a big gamble, as I said.
Yeah, gamble indeed. Gamble is the word of the day, really. And almost a slide job attempt there from Aaron Smith. We've had a couple so far, and I'm going to try to call him out a little bit better going forward. It is the slide job 100 after all, but Aaron Smith right now, this could be one right here. The 42 truck down to the bottom. Huge run, huge burst of steam, and he's going to have to slide up in front of the 38 of Peter Murphy. There was your first of the day, folks. Slide job, in the words of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he gets right by him, the 42 truck, moving up 2 more spots. Aaron Smith up 8 from the start of the race, currently sitting in 6th, but keep an eye there on Eddie Hagge and Peter Murphy as they go by the lap truck of Anthony Caetano in the 79. But the 97 of Eddie Hagge having a great race for himself. He's been picking it up lately the last couple weeks. I know he was actively in the top 10 last week at Nashville Fairgrounds, and Peter Murphy as well, a guy that's relatively been middling most of the season in terms of his top results, but he's had a couple top tens in the past 2 seasons, and tonight he is sitting there pretty comfortably right now, chasing down the very quick Eddie Hagge. So some of these guys, like the Cale Zooks, the Hunter Henrys, Evan, we're seeing really as we get further and further into the year, and especially at these intermediates, appear to be making huge strides over time.
Yeah, Hagge and Peter Murphy, those are two names that I obviously recognize, so I know that they've been with us here for a little while, and I've always thought of them as quick drivers, but not necessarily ones that are coming up and competing in the top 5, top 10 every single week. But really, these past couple of weeks, I feel like we've been talking about both of those guys quite a bit, and they've been doing a great job. Obviously, that just shows what you can do when you really put in the time, you put in the practice, and you really work to try and get yourself better. I'm sure that's what those guys have been doing. And there you see those guys now consistently the past couple of weeks running in the top 5, top 10, and great job from both of those guys.
I believe we're seeing a pit stop as we speak. The 83 of Jason Greenwell going to come down for essentially the second time of the race. I would think this would have to be an intentional fuel strategy thing because we haven't made it to halfway. He's still going to have to pit, I would guess, maybe 2 more times. Actually slides through his pit box, unfortunately, so not going to be a perfect pit stop either. But yeah, interesting strategically, and this is, well, probably looks a little bit more entertaining than it is, but this is Ricky Hart lapping a couple of lap traffic cars. So that's Terry Condis. I saw Connor Zook and a couple more names there as he goes by. So he will put a couple faces a lap down. And Ricky Hart's just chugging away. Now 12 seconds up on the guys behind. And speaking of guys behind, Benny Hogan is chasing Davey Hendricks down, and we could see a pass momentarily.
Yeah, a lot of guys spread out here, but still a lot of action. Another guy hopping down pit road, I believe that's the 38 truck. I couldn't exactly see who it was, but I believe the 38 of Peter Murphy, yeah, it is hopping down pit road here on lap 48 of 100. So not exactly sure what the strategy is here, but I guess we'll try and figure it out, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it, see who is going to be here at the end of the race. Halfway through now, the slide job 100 at Chicagoland.
Another good battle forming up here, Benny Hogan and Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith, who's kind of been chasing down Benny Hogan in his attempts to get anybody who hasn't taken tires so far, and now he's finally going to get the man himself. Aaron Smith down to the bottom, gets by. This could be another slide job. Not quite so much. Clears him comfortably enough that, you know, I don't think it's going to come into play. Just to clarify momentarily before we probably see another pass here around the inside of Davey Hendricks, or unless Aaron Smith commits to that high line. A slide job is a pass in racing, especially at these tracks with more long-term banked wide corners, where you send it underneath somebody and knowing the car is going to wash up because you've taken such a tight entry, and then you slide up in front of the car that you just passed, and in turn they have to slow down to not hit you. And it's a very aggressive passing maneuver, but it's called a slide job, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. made it famous with some great audio clips there from his commentating in NASCAR last season. And there's another one. So Aaron Smith goes by Davey Hendricks, moves up in a second position again. All you Davey Hendricks fans at home there for the 21. I don't believe he's taken a set of tires yet, so this is kind of just a temporary thing, I would imagine, unless he took 2, in which case he's still better off than some of these guys. So don't fret. I feel like this is just temporary, and it won't be until that last pit stop cycle where we really see what people have. Brandon Jackson
sideways on pit road.
What a save, Brandon Jackson. We talk about him a lot for stalling the truck there, but man, when he starts to lose it, he sure can't save it, can he? Nice move there by Action Jackson. Keeps it on track and chugs along. It's not going to be a quick pit cycle, but better to be a little bit slower than average, than putting it in the inside pit wall, eh, Evan?
Yeah, and the 99 definitely taking tires now. He'll definitely have to take tires now, and the
Whoa.
Caution is going to be out. I know you guys can't see Skype right now, but as soon as that caution flag waved, every single driver's jaw just dropped. Every single driver very surprised to see that caution flag flying. Not what a lot of these guys wanted. It's going to help Brandon Jackson out a little bit. You always like being on pit road when the caution flag flies, but this is definitely going to completely mess up everybody's strategy, throwing a wrench right in the middle of all strategy.
It will, and there's the 55 of Connor Zook. Significant smoke coming out of the back end of that truck, so let's go to our Full Send Racing Network replay and see what just happened to the 55. Yeah, first caution of the day. Honestly, Evan, if you'd asked me just a moment ago whether we were going to have one or not the entire race, I would have said no, so genuinely surprised to see that come out. Looks like we're going to have to go back manually. We do not have an actual moment of caution to reference, so the 55 truck has gone all the way around now. Here we go.
It's between the 55 truck and the 3 of Connor Sawyer. Connor Sawyer was just on the very top lane and decided that he wanted to pit from that very top lane. There wasn't really anywhere that the 55 truck could go. And they both got turned around. At least I believe that that's what happened.
Yeah, let's go to the perspective of Connor Sawyer on that one, because, yeah, he would have been the catalyst there if, as you say, Evan, he was coming down pit road. So let's go to his perspective. So Trey Ellis there in the bottom line in the 4 truck, I'd imagine, would have also gotten involved too. So here is Connor Sawyer coming through turn 3. Yeah, gets too low, doesn't give proper notice, and then tries it again. He was coming in a little bit too hot already, coming in at a bad angle. So I think that was just inherently going to be kind of a flawed attempt from the very start. Once he had to hesitate to not hit Trey Ellis, well, from there on it was pretty much done and over with. It was going to end that way no matter what. But incredible that he didn't actually hit Trey Ellis. A nice last-minute maneuver to avoid the initial hit, but unfortunately for Connor Zook, that second one, not much there was. There was not much he was going to do about that. If you're the 55 truck, I don't know what you would have done any differently.
Yeah, there's really nothing that you could have done if you were the 55. He didn't do anything wrong at all there. It's just you can't expect somebody to be on the top lane and coming down pit road. That's just not something that you do. You have to prepare for that. That's one of the reasons why you have to practice coming down pit road, and why it really matters so much. You just no driver should ever be coming down pit road from the top lane. Honestly, you really need to be down low. You need to be preparing. You at the very least, you need to make sure that nobody's going to be behind you if you're going to jump down across the track. I don't really have much else to say about that other than we probably shouldn't have had a caution so far. Great job from these guys though to have no caution other than that up until now.
Well, you alluded to the fact that there were some great reactions there on the Skype side of things once that caution came out, and that means it's time to go to our resident, our favorite reactioneer. Reaction with Jackson himself, Mr. Brandon Jackson. So there's his face, and let's pull up the truck. I mean, really tonight, I don't know if you'd agree, Evan, but I would say, generally speaking, tonight's probably most dominant driver in terms of flat-out pace on an even tire strategy.
Yeah, I would say so, but the thing is, so far he's been the most dominant, but you never know which truck is really the fastest, which driver is going to be the fastest. I'm excited once this actually cycles around, and once we get closer to the end of this race, I'm excited.
Oh, we just lost contact from you there, Evan, so not sure what happened. Maybe similar to the issue we had a little bit earlier, but right now, Bill Harkins just to go back up to the front. This seems to be a situation we have a lot in this series. I got to say, Bill is certainly one of those guys who likes to go a little bit alternative with his pit stops and likes to lead a couple laps here and there just to, I'd assume, get some bonus points for himself. Hey, shout out for the Full Send Racing Network logo on the back bumper of that truck. So the 11 off to a, relatively good start so far. I saw him sitting down there in the late teens, early 20s, so not too bad. There he goes down pit road. So yeah, he'll get the extra bonus point for leading a single lap, but now the lead will be passed back to Ricky Hart Jr. there in the 64.
Here, you got me now, Marshall?
Now we got you. Yep.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I was really just saying that I'm excited once we get towards the end of this race, excited to see which drivers are going to be a little bit quicker once we have a more equal tire strategy, because Brandon Jackson so far has been one of the quickest guys in that first little stint, then Ricky Hart Jr., one of the quickest guys in the second. So I'm excited to see once we quit seeing some of these guys lay off, because I've got a feeling that there are plenty of guys that are just riding around trying to last till the end. I'm excited to get to the end and everybody really just be balls to the wall trying to go for the win. I feel like who's up front is definitely going to change once we get into the final quarter of the race.
Oh, most certainly. And I think now it's extra interesting with that kind of caution throwing everybody off. The people that maybe would have had an advantage on certain strategies with where they were going to be able to run in terms of fuel, how long they were going to be able to go. Well, that all goes out the window now. I mean, everybody on the lead lap would have just pit. So this is going to get interesting. Here we go. Ricky Hart Jr., the control truck for the first time in tonight's event. Aaron Smith up 12 spots from the start. He's on the inside of row number 1. Then it's Haggy and Hogan in row 2 and Henry and Hendricks in row 3. Here we go. Control truck goes. Green flag for the second time tonight at Chicagoland. And the Slide Job 100 presented by Christopher Ferrara. To the outside goes Ricky Hart Jr. down to turn number 1. Clears Aaron Smith looking comfortable. And it's Hendricks down to the bottom of Eddie Haggy through turn number 1.
Yeah, Brett Guzik with a big move down to the inside. Looks like he's trying to gain a couple of spots, a couple of rows back as we're starting to single file out. Brett Guzik is going to be the first driver, not in a row, but now Davey Hendricks is going to change that. Davey Hendricks down to the inside of the 42. The 42 up a little bit higher. Still single file, though, as guys are spreading out a little bit. And we've got contact in the back. The 7 of Lacey going to be sideways. We got another truck going around.
Massive wreck. Brandon Jackson's in it as well. Huge names. Guys flying into the pile at, like late in the wreck. That's Daniel Stein there. I think Peter Murphy could have got involved. He was coming in with a head of steam. No significant damage, so he looks to be fine. But second caution of the night. Cautions breed cautions, as we always say. And that one caught one of the big fish in it. Brandon Jackson, you got to think he is not happy right now.
Yeah, Brandon Jackson definitely not happy. The 83 truck of Greenwell also going to be involved. The 7 involved. The 4, the 10 of Matt Crockett involved as well. Cody Welch having to go through the grass to miss it, but I believe he did miss it. Sawyer, Zook, a lot of guys involved in this one.
We were 5 wide momentarily there. I don't know if you guys saw it. Coming off of turn number 4, if you want to know what the problem is, and we're going to go to the blimp camera just to show you the whole picture, this moment was the problem because we had Benjamin Lacey, kind of the catalyst of this whole situation, so let's go to his perspective first. But when he bounced into the outside wall and everybody kind of fanned out to try to find room, there was just no hope. So let's go back to the 7 truck of Benjamin Lacey, who to this point had been having such a great race. Like, he's been making plenty of progress all the way through. But here he is on the bottom line, kind of gets a bit of a bobble. I think he just got turned off the slightest bit off the front nose of the 27 of Michael Ramos. It looked like a little bit of net code, and then in the background it was just such a shock to everybody in that little group. You know, nobody was really prepared to have to avoid, and there we go into Weaver. Foster gets by, and then so it's Weaver hooks the back end of the 10 of Crockett. Crockett gets into Greenwell. Jackson finds himself collected there in the background, and yeah, Brandon Jackson, you can tell, is well, pretty annoyed, and maybe not even annoyed, just very sad. Unfortunately, you never like to see Brandon Jackson sad.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Jackson already used that fast repair, maybe accidentally, not exactly sure, but yeah, Brandon Jackson already out of the race this early on. Of course, hate to see that, but luckily he is locked into the playoffs. Not going to be as good of a night tonight as it was last night for the 99 truck.
And you can see here just nothing he's going to do about that. Yeah, I mean, again, these are the guys I feel worst for. You know, even those guys that find themselves collected in some minor way in the background. You know, if it just makes one wrong decision when it comes to trying to avoid. You know, maybe thinks they have to go low and they go high, and it just all goes wrong. Then at least there was a decision to be made there. But I feel bad for those guys that just suddenly see a car sliding down in front of them, don't have time to react, and suddenly they're in a wreck they didn't cause. So that is what I hate to see. And again, especially with Brandon Jackson coming off a win last week. He's had a very up and down roller coaster of a season, but at least he made himself the second driver to come to 2 wins on the season, the first being Nick Nickerson, who is not here tonight. So for those of you that are pretty used to seeing the number 2 truck up towards the top of the timing tower, and you're wondering why he's not there if you just joined us, well, he is not here, kind of unusually, considering he's, well, almost a guarantee in terms of attendance so far in the series, really since I got here. So surprising to see that. But Davey Hendricks now becomes your race leader. Ricky Hart in second, Aaron Smith in third. And very quickly, we're going to throw it to you, Evan, because we didn't really get a chance to do it as we always do. But let's take a moment to go over our track profile for Chicagoland.
Yeah, that sounds great. So, of course, we are at Chicagoland Speedway here. This place was built in 2001. 100 laps tonight, and that is going to equal out to 150 miles around this beautiful racetrack. Turns are banked 18 degrees. Front stretch, I believe that says 11 degrees. Can't exactly read it, but this place hosted IndyCar up until 2010, hosted NASCAR up until recently. And so, unfortunately, not really doing much of anything right now. Not exactly sure what's going on there now, but you can see the quickest time on iRacing. And next week, we're going to be heading to Michigan. So quite a fun track. We had a couple of short tracks, a couple of exciting tracks in one way a couple of weeks in a row before. It's going to be a couple of exciting tracks in a completely different way this week and for the next few weeks. As we've got here, then we've got Michigan. But nevertheless, all these tracks coming up, they're going to be a lot of fun up until the end of the season, really. I'm excited to see all of them.
Yeah, I really personally don't think there's really any, outliers in the schedule, ones that may create bad racing. I mean, Short tracks are always going to be a question mark, so Myrtle Beach there in the second round of the playoffs, potentially. Eldora, our second dirt race. I know there's been talks about whether that'll end up on the calendar in the end or not. But yeah, there's your schedule for the rest of the season going forward. Michigan, one of my favorites next week. Then we got Road America. Always love a good road course, and we haven't had one of those in ages, so it'll be good to get Nick some more practice, and maybe we'll see if Aaron Smith can go for his second attempt, because he came so close last time. And as of yet, the guy who was touted as a road course, really a road course specialist when he came into the series, and Aaron Smith in the 42 truck, hasn't really had that opportunity to prove himself so far, besides Daytona. So looking forward to that in a couple weeks. There is the 42 truck you see there in the background in the yellow, but right now it is the Pennzoil 21 of Davey Hendricks running a new livery tonight, and he is getting set to go for the third restart of the night, and his first as the leader.
Yes, sir. It's going to be the 21 and the 64 leading us to green here after our second caution of the night. Speaking of yellow flags, the yellow lights are off on the pace car as the pace truck is diving down onto pit road. Like I said, it's going to be the 21 leading us to green, and the green flag is out here at Chicagoland again. Lap 62 of 100, a big jump for the 21. The 42 and the 64 are going to be side by side for the second position.
They will indeed. Yeah, Aaron Smith down to the bottom, keeps his second place position, slides right in front of Ricky Hart Jr. In the background, Eddie Hagee still sitting there in fourth, now evened out on strategy, so it makes it even more impressive that he's up there just in front of Brett Guzik. A little ways back though, Henry and Yancey, two guys with a combined 30 spots up from the start of the race, and now Curtis Yancey going to dive underneath. Really no opposition there from the number 94. Now down to the bottom goes Brett Guzik as well. The 04 truck trying to get in the fourth spot. Down to the bottom of Eddie Hagee. So the 97 truck doing a good job defending so far to keep himself in the top five. But now he's going to lose out on one spot. And now Ricky Hart could lose out to another.
Yeah, Ricky Hart going to be down low. The 04 of Brett Guzik going to take the high line side by side. These two guys in the battle for third position. The 04 are going to have the advantage right now. It looks like he's going to be able to make it. Speaking of making the pass, the 51 of Curtis Yancey is moving up as well. Yancey right behind the 64, Ricky Hart Jr., and he's going to look to the inside of him.
Three drivers who, as of yet, do not have a podium this season. Eddie Hagee, Hunter Henry, and Michael Ramos all in a battling just outside of the top five. Definitely guys that, depending on the way this race goes, could find themselves in the podium spots. And they are three wide down the backstretch. Michael Ramos going to force it three wide. Hagee on the bottom. Henry going to have the best momentum off the corner. But I think Michael Ramos in the 27 is going to part the Red Sea and flies right up the inside of the two red trucks. And now he finds himself moving up into the fifth spot, down the inside of Ricky Hart. The 27's got a fire under him, and Michael Ramos is charging up.
Yeah, Ramos being really aggressive and sending it in there and really doing what he needed to do, getting himself out of trouble. He was in that three-wide position. He really sent it in there deep to try and get himself out of that three-wide, and he did a great job at it. Now, again, you just got to remind yourself you don't know where these guys are at on tire strategy, but nevertheless, a great job from all these guys. Right now, it's Hendricks, Guzik, Yancey, Ramos, and Smith, top five. Henry just past Ricky Hart Jr. for the sixth position. Eighth is going to be Kevin Foster. Then you've got Hagee and Welch rounding off your top 10.
And right behind them, Christopher Ferrara is part of two rows of two wide. At Benjamin Lacey, who just got in a wreck a moment ago, going to the outside. We got four rows of two wide. What a battle mid-pack here at Chicagoland. Race sponsor Christopher Ferrara goes to the bottom, goes three wide for a moment, and now finds himself in the top 10. Nice pass. We are four wide, almost five wide here, coming down to the start-finish line. What a track. This has been a great race so far, and David Lakey going to move up three spots in a single lap, and Eddie Hagee down the middle there. He is slipping through the order.
Yeah, these guys are fanning out all over the track. A little bit of trouble almost there for the 7 truck of Lacey, as Lakey almost pinched him up into the wall. The last second, I believe he realized he was out there, and he gave him plenty of room, giving him plenty of room right now. Luckily, no contact with the wall, but look at Platt. He's looking to the inside, looking to make it three wide right here. The 7 truck on top, Lacey on top, Platt down there on the bottom.
Well, important to mention as well, Platt is not a lead lap truck. He's currently sitting in 22nd, so some issues there earlier in the race for him that have put him a lap down, and it means that essentially this is just to see if he can get his lap back there on new tires. So he is going to dive up the inside of Ricky Hart, who is really slipping now. The 64 truck, you can tell it must be a tire discrepancy because he took that first set of tires to pull away. And I think with that caution there, that is a decision he may regret. he has fallen through the order quick. Now is the spot to Lacey, to Cale Zook, to David Lakey, who now moves himself into the top 10. Aaron Smith now battling with Christopher Ferrara. We're seeing some guys who really never find each other on track, Kevin, that really never have a reason to battle each other, duking it out like Christopher Ferrara and Aaron Smith, and now David Lakey.
Yeah, look at the 85 truck just a little bit ahead. He's battling with the 94 of Hunter Henry. The 85 gave him a little bit of a bumper, moved him up out of the way. Nothing too bad. He didn't wreck him or anything, just kind of a little bit of a tap, let him know that he's a little bit quicker, and 94 moved up out of the way. He gave him room. Now they're battling side by side, and directly behind them, side by side, the 13 of Ferrara, the 43 of Platt. Platt with the advantage, though. Like you said, the lap down truck, he's looking up behind Henry right now.
Yeah, David Lakey trying to find an opening really anywhere he possibly can, and he's got the best view of this battle of anybody on track here right now. Welch now side by side once again with Hunter Henry. They've been finding each other all over the track tonight, and we're side by side behind them too. Platt and Ferrara. Remember, Platt is not on the lead lap, but still trying to weave his way through and doing a great job at it so far. Then it's a line of Lakey, Zook, Lacey. I believe that is Mark Allen Bivens right behind them, but we're still side by side. Henry on the bottom, Platt on the top. And Cody Welch gets the better of that kind of mini battle there and is now trying to pull away as best he can. Moves himself up into 6. And now it's Christopher Ferrara going to go to the inside of Hunter Henry there. Down into 3. And I believe David Lakey got into the wall. He's wrecking into Cale Zook. The 44 and the 84 come together. And there is caution number 3. Whether they actually wrecked or not, significant damage cosmetically to the inside of the 84 truck. But other than that, not a huge wreck. But it still brings out caution number 3.
Yeah, caution number 3 tonight, lap 73 of 100. Through the slide job, 100 here tonight at Chicagoland. Getting the replay queued up here now, so we can actually see what happened, get a nice little replay, and a good view of it here.
So David Lakey just looked like he got a little bit too wide trying to set up his apex, got in the outside wall, got squirrely, and hooked Cale Zook in with him, who was trying that same top line he was, and he went to do so, and there was a green number 84 truck right there. So Cale Zook unfortunately gets caught up in the aftermath there. We'll see it one more time. It's just a little bit tough because unfortunately we do not have actual moment-by-moment telemetry here, so we got to go manually. But the 84 truck, let's go from his perspective maybe, see what David Lakey was looking at, just see if maybe a truck on the inside jumped up in front of him, got him a little bit squirrely there. And I mean, Hunter was right there in front of him. Definitely would have made it a little bit tough to judge the corner, but it just looked like a slight miscommunication, or a miscalculation, I should say, that got Cale Zook hooked there in the background. Let's go back one more moment just to see Cale Zook's perspective on the whole thing, and then we go ahead live because we're getting a bunch of pit stops right now, so the race order is going to change pretty significantly, I'd imagine. Cale Zook did make it back to the pits and did pit just a moment ago, so we'll see how much damage there on the number 44, but yeah, there into the outside wall is the 84 and just slides right in front of him. Not much the 44 was going to do unless he backed off the gas, but I mean, honestly, Evan, I'm kind of surprised it was caution at all, and I know if I was one of the drivers there, I would have been driving like it wasn't going to be one, so can't really blame the 44 truck there.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that it wasn't a caution, but using iRacing cautions, of course, that obviously would have been a caution in real life, but sometimes iRacing doesn't catch those things, so it really just depends on. Sometimes it's a caution, sometimes it's not exactly where it was, where they were at. Probably a good thing that it was a caution up there in the racing line. And you know what? From a broadcasting point of view, I don't hate it either. 75 laps down out of 100. This is going to be a nice little fourth quarter stint here.
Well, fourth quarter is the perfect way to put it because we are now done with pit stops. So everybody can take their fresh set of four side, well, I was going to say white wall, but they're not. They're black wall tires. So they're going to head out and get some fresh rubber and get ready for that run to the finish. And just what a race so far, Evan. I mean, when I think of the foreseeable future, the most potential winners we've had, I can't think of quite as many as this. I mean, Davey Hendricks has got to have himself in the picture. Hunter Henry as well could be a dark horse. I hope he's taken tires because I don't believe he has if he's sitting second in the race order, and that may be a crucial mistake that he could make here. But I mean, other than that, Kevin Foster is obviously quite quick. Thinking back to guys who were quick in practice, I mean, Aaron Smith there, he may be all the way down there in 12th, but certainly got the pace to make something happen here overall. Cale Zook as well just got in that wreck, but he's proven that he can consistently stay in the top 5 all race. And where was Benny Hogan? Benny Hogan dropped back to 18th, still in the lead lap, but the 88 truck was second fastest in practice, so potentially a guy that could find speed here late in this race. And Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Evan, for throwing it in the chat there, because I was going to say I'm curious for all of those watching at home, who is your pick to win this race tonight? It's the best race we've had in quite a while here, and these intermediate tracks, I don't know about you, Evan, but I find they're making great races for us this season.
Yeah, they really are a lot of fun. I'm a big short track guy. I love short tracks. Obviously, though, after last week, as good of a track as Nashville is, it didn't go too well, and tonight has been a lot of fun. So, I gotta give it up for that. We're having a lot of fun here tonight, and I'm excited for all these intermediate tracks coming up. I wasn't so excited at first, but I definitely am now. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So somebody in the chat here just a moment ago was asking about pit strategy. So they can't make an estimate until they know who has pitted when, and that is a very good point. So here you go. Here is the pit stop strategy so far through tonight's race. Davey Hendricks, race leader, you can confirm now, has not pitted on this last time by. So I guess, Evan, he's banking on another caution, which again, cautions do breed cautions. Might not be a bad strategy, but the fact that guys like Henry, Bivens, Yancey, who weren't really in the top 5 picture just a moment ago, who just did pit, that says to me that they didn't take tires. And again, that would kind of indicate that if they want to have any hope for a win, a podium, or a top 5, they got to be banking on another caution as well. But guys like Aaron Smith a little ways further back, who I know pitted and who would have had an extra set of tires in the bank, you got to think those guys are going to be hoping for everything they're worth that they don't get a caution before the end. They're hoping we go green. So it's going to depend. We're going to have to see. But there goes the pace truck down onto pit road. Will we get a caution at the end? And who will take home the win of the Slide Job 100 at Chicagoland Speedway? And a great start for Davey Hendricks. Takes off down to turn number 1.
Yeah, a great start there from him. And side by side, we've got the 94 up on the top.
Whoa!
And sideways.
Cautions breed cautions indeed.
Going to be out again.
We always say it, and Curtis Yancey just proved it. It goes around in turn number 1 as Bibbins and Henry start to swarm. And the 51 truck, again, very similar to Brandon Jackson's, had some great races, but he's also had quite a couple wrecks he's been involved in so far, and there was yet another one of them. Let's go back to your replay and see what caused that wreck that brings out caution number 4. Looking back through here, there we go.
It's going to be the 51 and the 27 getting together. Looks like a little bit of a bump there from the 27. Not too much that Yancey could do in order to stop that. He was really just along for the ride, it looked like to me.
Yeah, it kind of looked to me like, analyzing the corner entry, I think Brett Guzik kind of jumped underneath Michael Ramos a little bit later than he was expecting, and he made that kind of last-minute move up to the top to try to give Brett Guzik a little bit more space, but in doing so, hooked the back end to Curtis Yancey. Just kind of unfortunate timing. But you'll see here from Yancey's perspective, yeah, not too much he really had to do there. I mean, if I were him and he only had one truck underneath, that would probably be the line I'd be running as well. But yeah, Brett Guzik there kind of jumping underneath late. Let's go to Guzik's perspective just to see what he was doing there. And actually not too bad. I don't know. Again, I'm going to go to you, Evan, because I don't know how I'd quantify that. He was pretty comfortably underneath there on the bottom, but I'm wondering if maybe Michael just thought he was going to back out.
Yeah, it's hard to place blame on this one. The 51, obviously, there was nothing he could do. He was along for the ride. He didn't realize that there were 2 trucks under him, or he didn't realize that he needed to leave room for 2 trucks under him. He was just running like there was one guy under him, running the normal line that you would when you're up there on the outside or running more towards the middle line. 27 of Ramos, he was diving down in there, just trying to make it happen. The 04 of Brett Guzik really doing the same thing. Brett Guzik was running all the way on the bottom. You could really argue that any single one of these guys could have done something different, and that's why I'm just got to quantify this one as a racing deal. Unfortunate that it happened, obviously, for the 51 of Yancey, but not too much that any of these drivers could have done to avoid it, except for not race as hard. But it's hard to ask guys to not race as hard when you've got 20 laps to go. Maybe if it was the first caution of the night on lap 20, that'd be different. But 20 laps to go, you can't ask these guys to back out in the middle of a corner,
Well, the last thing we would do as broadcasters is ask them to calm down and not make moves where they're available. That's why we love watching racing, and particularly this series. And we're just going to take a moment while we have a second under the 4th caution of the night. Might be our final chance we get, depending on how long we go green. But let's do a quick through the field here to see where everybody is in the top 10 and look in a little bit more at what drivers have been doing pretty well so far tonight. So one more lap on the pace truck, so 2 in total. So we have just a moment to go through this. But the 21 of Davey Hendricks from Jacksonville, Florida. He's been doing great all night so far in general. I mean, I think Brandon showed a little bit more pace on equal tires there earlier in the event, but once Brandon has been out of the equation since that earlier wreck that ran him out of quick repairs, he's been dominant. I mean, on that last restart, you could just see he was flying, and he only went about 2 corners before we got another caution. But we're seeing here, Davey Hendricks, one of those guys that just like last season, always kind of finds himself in a good position here at the end of these races, finds himself in the equation. And just like that nail-biter finish we had a couple weeks ago, where I believe he just barely picked, was it Curtis Yancey there at the finish? Or maybe it was at Milwaukee, I'm trying to remember specifically, but he had a great finish a couple weeks ago there late, so a clutch driver in the lead late in a race, that is a good formula, so keep an eye on Davey Hendricks. Hunter Henry, driver profile driver tonight, the fan favorite himself. He's been looking great overall, sitting there in second, did pit just a moment ago, but again, we're assuming it was not for tires, so if he does have new tires, I love his chances. Hunter Henry's definitely a guy to watch out for, and always love seeing guys get their first race or first series podiums as their first race wins, so potentially could see that being the case tonight. Then Mark Allen Bivens, a former driver profile driver, actually the first we ever had from Blytheville, Arkansas, currently sitting there in third. He's got some support there in the YouTube chat, so hi to all the Mark Allen Bivens fans. And what a great night for the young driver as well. He's been just great all season overall. Guys can't stop talking about the progress he's made, so props to Mark Allen Bivens, the 76 truck, looking good. New paint scheme as well. Then it's Brett Guzik sitting there in fourth, and I see the comment there in the chat, if we get one more caution, maybe we will try to bring Brett in the booth, because, man, he's had a busy season so far. We always say it, Evan and I, his win is coming sooner rather than later. He's come so close so many times, so many second places, and we were just waiting on that first win. Sitting there in fourth, 20 laps to go. He might have enough time to make it happen. And rounding off the top 5 right now, Michael Ramos. We've seen him be quick in practice in the past and as well as qualifying. But right now, the 27 truck, damage to the front nose, but if he can keep enough aerodynamic structure to that car, might have a chance to go for the win. So keep an eye on the Clarksville, Tennessee native. That's going to be about all the time we have. Davey Hendricks has to get ready in just a moment to lead the field to green for the 4th time tonight at Chicagoland.
The lights on the iRacing pace truck are off, and he's about to dive down onto pit road. Making the hard left turn. The field is going to be in the hands of the 21 for possibly the final restart of the night. He is firing. The green flag is waving in the big jump from the 21. A little bit of tire spin from the 94, I believe, and Brett Guzik is going to look to make it 3 wide. The 94 on the top. Brett Guzik in the middle. Mark Allen Bivens is going to be down there on the bottom.
Hunter Henry spun the tires.
Slide in.
Yes, indeed. Guzik weaving his way through now to the bottom. Mark Allen Bivens to 3. Yeah, Hunter Henry spun his tires there on the restart, so he's dropped back a little ways. Kevin Foster there on the bottom trying to go with the 04 truck. Davey Hendricks, in the meantime, though, has got a couple car lengths ahead of this group. But Brett Guzik, there he goes up to second. The 04 is flying, and again, knock on wood, but could this be the time? He is flying right now. Mark Allen Bivens going to serve as kind of a pick to the 8 of Kevin Foster if he's on older tires. And right now, here is the 04's chance.
It's definitely the 04's chance, but a couple other guys, or definitely a lot of guys, have a chance here, really. The 8 of Kevin Foster is looking to the inside of Bivens. The 27 truck of Ramos is going to look to follow him as well. The 94 of Henry, he's on older tires, but he's back there on the top of Cody Welch. And the 7 of Lacey is going to be directly behind him.
Whoa.
Any of these guys have a chance here with 17 to go.
And there goes the pass for the lead. Davey Hendricks almost went around. They made a little bit of contact as the 04 Guzik, I believe, was getting back up off the apron. So contact there. Hendricks keeps it going. Again, he's on old tires, so going to be a little bit off the pace. Now Kevin Foster going by. Michael Ramos with damage. Still quick enough to get under the 21 of Davey Hendricks. Again, got to be hoping for a caution, or if he's out of tires, his hopes for the win might be done. But right now, Brett Guzik goes from offense to defense as he tries to hold off the 8 of Kevin Foster. This is about to be a barn burner of a battle. Down to turn number 1, almost hooks him. Just barely clears him, does Brett Guzik. But off of turn number 2, only 15 to go next time by. We are running out of time here at Chicagoland.
This is going to be a crazy battle for the lead. These are two of the best drivers in the series. The 04 of Brett Guzik, the 8 of Kevin Foster. Foster's right on his bumper, and directly behind them, they're 3 wide. Welch trying to make something happen all the way down on the bottom.
Battles everywhere. 3 rows of side by side, but Brett Guzik up to the top. Kevin Foster to the bottom. 2 guys looking for their first win of the season. That is true of the top 5 right now. Foster to the bottom, looking comfortable in the bottom line. Thought he might have to slide up and maybe lose some of that momentum, but right now it's Brett Guzik's turn to have all the momentum. Back on offense goes the 04 truck. It's where he's looked comfortable all season. He's going to lose the spot down to turn number 3, but he should get a better run off of turn number 4. But Michael Ramos, keep an eye on the 27 here. Again, still damage for that U.S. Army truck, but he is keeping himself in the picture, and it's Welch, then Lacey now. Where did Benjamin Lacey come from? He is battling with Hendricks for 5th. And a caution comes out 5th of the race. Where did that come from?
The 76 of Mark Allen Bivens going to be one of the ones involved. Mark Allen, he was having some problems, not exactly sure what happened, but got into Platt. He fell very quickly out of the top 5 and then out of the top 10, but not exactly sure what happened. He just said on the radio over to all the drivers, apologizing to all the drivers, saying that he just got too tight. He couldn't exactly control his car, but we'll see what happens in the replay here.
Whoa, big flip from the 44 truck. Yikes, that was one of the worst wrecks I've seen here at an intermediate in a while, and then takes another punt from a driver going by as they're slowing down for the caution. Gonna have to go to a replay for that again because, yeah, Mark Allen clearly getting loose there coming off of turn number 4 was kind of what started the whole thing, but just kind of swayed right into him, into the wall, pushed to the 44 truck there into the outside of the line, and collected about every truck imaginable there as he spun. I think that was about the 4th guy he hit there as he came down to a stop and drove backwards for a considerable period of time. So what an nice flick turn there. Oh, Mark Allen, nice moves there, man. I mean, always dangerous to not hit the brakes when you wreck, but that was a nice little move there at the end. But yeah, that wreck, that was violent. The 44 truck. Again, really glad this is a sim, but it was impressive how we got back on all fours and that one last punt there at the end just for good measure. So let's try to get an even better angle here. We'll pause it to see what happened to Mark Allen to kick this all off. But yeah, I think, again, it's kind of just a product of how many 3 wides, 2 wides we've been having tonight, Evan, that it seems like every time one driver makes even a little bit of a personal mistake, there's always somebody to get collected in the immediate aftermath.
Yeah, this is just another one of those times where it seems like a lot of what's happening is just guys going for the same area, and then once they do that, they start wrecking, and there's not anywhere for the guys behind them to go. And it's unfortunate, but it's just a product of racing, and it's just what happens. And I'll tell you, it's going to give us a really good about 10 lap dash to the finish here at Chicagoland. Davey Hendricks was one of the drivers that dipped down pit road, but it's still going to be Kevin and Foster and Brett Guzik out front. Right now, they're going to be sitting on your front row for this restart.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up the pit strategy graphic again because I think that's going to be important to keep in mind just so we know who is pitted when. Everybody pitted 15 laps ago on lap number, that'd be 73. Kevin Foster drops to the apron. I don't know if that's for fuel saving or if that is for a pit stop potentially, so keep an eye on the 8 truck. I don't know about you, Evan. I'll get your perspective because I think we've seen how important tires are tonight. This is a track you do not want to be on old rubber at. And I almost think if you have a set of tires left in the pits, and let's say you drop back like 10 spots with how many cars are on the lap beneath the lead lap, would you almost say it's better to take tires now and sacrifice your spot on track if you want to go for the win?
I feel like we said a little bit earlier, gamble was just going to be one of the key words of the night with pit strategy, and I feel like that's just a gamble that you might want to risk, you might not want to risk. Obviously, the 21 truck, I'm assuming that he did have a set of tires left in the pits, and where he was at, it didn't exactly look like he was competing with Brett Guzik and the 8 of Kevin Foster. It didn't exactly look like he would be a force to be reckoned with 10 laps to go. So I would have to assume that he had that set of tires in the pits, and he decided that you want to go for the win. I feel like if you can't compete for that first place position, if you can't compete for that win tonight, you're going to want to go down pit road, get that set of tires, and see what'll happen.
Just very quickly before we go green, which is momentary. No, it is not. The lights in the pace car are still on. This has been a long caution. But Brian DeChaney there in the chat asked a very good question. It's one that I don't actually have a traditional graphic for, but I can check my telemetry. Who's got the fastest lap to this point? The answer is Aaron Smith. Ran a 30.78 second lap a little bit earlier in the event. Interestingly enough, that is about 0.2 quicker than the pull time tonight, set by, I've already forgot our pole sitter. It was... Come on, Marshall, step it up. Evan, do you remember who our pole sitter was? Why am I forgetting?
I do not remember who our pole sitter... You know what? We're going to pretend like we know who the pole sitter is. A quick question for the comments. A little impromptu trivia. Who was our pole sitter tonight? Who can remember and not go replay the video? I don't even care if you have to replay the video. Quick trivia, who was the pole sitter for tonight's race at Chicagoland?
I now have checked the answer, so yeah, please don't go back and don't check it that way. Don't cheat. But yes, I do know now, so I can update you all in just a moment. But yeah, Aaron Smith ran a 30.78, quicker than the pole time. A couple other drivers since ran a lap quicker than said time. Ricky Hart ran a 30.94. Eddie Haggy a 30.88. So some quick laps tonight, but the only driver in the 30.7s was the former race winner this season, Mr. Aaron Smith. The green arrows and numbers on the pit strategy reference the number of spots gained and lost by drivers in the event so far. It's actually a thing I can put on the timing tower, but I just really haven't had the chance yet. There you go. We actually do have a graphic for it. So the best lap of the race for each driver tonight is shown there. So that should give you kind of an idea of what the top potential time anybody could run tonight is, what the top end in terms of their pace is. But here we go. Kevin Foster gets a little bit squirrely, getting back up to speed. Brett Guzik might have a chance, but green flag here. Fifth caution of the night is over, and Cody Welch, out of nowhere, he was kind of a guy I wasn't thinking about, but the 85 truck suddenly finds himself in the battle, provided he can go chase down Kevin Foster, who's off to a great start through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Kevin Foster got the jump, but Brett Guzik is going to be right on his tail, and it looks like we're about to go 3 wide here with the 85 truck jumping up to the outside. Cody Welch going to try to get the momentum from the outside. Not sure he's going to have anything doing, though, down to the bottom. The 27 of Ramos might try and make something happen under Welch.
Now it's 8 laps to go. Kevin Foster remains your leader. Guzik tucking right up to the back bumper. So is Welch. So is Smith. He's side by side with Ramos, who's now tucked in behind Cody Welch. He's going to slide up in the dirty air. Still has damage to that 27 truck, but he is locked into this battle. Foster to the bottom to protect the apex. It's going to be Guzik up top. Now Welch jumps to the bottom. The 85 truck looking for his first win of the season, and he's got to get by Brett Guzik.
Out.
Brett Guzik to do so, but yes, 6th of the night. Cautions breed cautions, and suddenly we are running out of green flag laps here. No driver showing up in the telemetry right now as of yet, but Curtis Yancey I'm seeing. Yeah, the 51 truck, yet another incident for him in tonight's race. He is just another one of those unlucky races we've seen both him and Brandon Jackson have all season. Even if they have such great performances one week, they can have a rough one on the next. Whoa, okay. Now, Evan, how do we read into that?
Well, from my point of view up here in the booth, you know, you've got 2 options. I could go the option and say that maybe there was some sort of mechanical failure, something happening with the 21, and he just happened to turn up the track into the 51. Maybe he didn't know that the 51 was up there. Not exactly sure. Or maybe did it on purpose. I don't know. That's going to be up for you guys to decide. I'm not gonna lay claim to what I believe happened there. You guys can see for yourself, and we're going to let, or at least I'm going to let, all of you make your own decisions on that one.
Irregardless, that was a huge block. Like Curtis, like not that it was a bad one. Like I think it was pretty fair, but he went like top to bottom there just to hold the spot from Davey Hendricks. So I think he had a general idea of just how quick Davey would be on new tires, and knew that if he was going to keep the spot one more straight, it could have huge effects if he could get the 21 stuck in traffic. So big block. I don't know. I think it was Davey Hendricks thinking that Yancey was going to come back up a little bit and there would be a lane there on the bottom, but Yancey was so committed to protecting that he wasn't really going to give him any room to get back on, and that was his line. Like, actually, interestingly enough with Chicagoland, I don't know what the rules are in regards to that bottom line, so watch Davey Hendricks again, because, you know, the obvious comparison is to the super speedways in NASCAR, like Daytona and Talladega. If you drop below the yellow line, that is the inside line there, what is the white line we see here, and you make a pass, it doesn't count for position. Whereas there, I mean, if he just straight lined it down to turn 3.
Daytona and Talladega.
Right, okay.
It's completely fair use. You can be anywhere on the track when it comes to anywhere other than Daytona and Talladega.
Perfect. Okay, then yeah. So I honestly, if I were Davey Hendricks there and I knew Yancey was going to block, probably would have just straight lined it right down to turn 3. But he tried to get back up, tried to scooch up a little bit, and yeah, that I don't think it was a crazy aggressive move from Hendricks. Like I can see the assumption he was making there that he was going to have a line to scooch up into. Unfortunately, just didn't. Yancey, aggressive block for sure, but I mean, with Hendricks on new tires, as quick as he is sitting there in 12th, I don't know what other option he had if he thought he could keep ahead of him. But, I mean, in the big picture right now, it becomes the Kevin Foster and Brett Guzik show once again. And the lights on the pace car are still on, so it's going to be 3 laps to go. Remember, we have 2 green-white checkered attempts, and green-white checkers are activated if the caution comes out before the white flag. So lap 2 to go or 3 to go. And if a caution comes out in that period of time, we would have another caution. We try it again, 2-lap shootout. We try one more time, and if that didn't work, then the race would be declared official, just like last week with Brandon Jackson being your winner at Nashville. So one more lap to go under the pace truck. And again, we got to ask everybody at home, who do you guys see winning this race tonight? There's so many potential winners here sitting in the top 5 and even the top 15. Like guys like Ricky Hart, Davey Hendricks, both on new tires in 11th and 12th. If they can keep the pace they had a little bit earlier in the race and they're able to weave through traffic in only, 3 laps time, could potentially still take away their second and first win of the season respectively. But I'll throw it to you, Evan. We haven't done this in a while. Who's your pick? You got plenty of choices up there.
You know, no matter what, I feel like this is going to be a really fun race, and it's going to be a really fun finish. This is just, it's been so good so far. And Kevin Foster has been so great these past couple of laps. I really see the Kevin Foster going up there, dominating this restart, especially since he's going to have control of the restart, jumping out there and making something happen. But Brett Guzik, he's been really aggressive, and so is Cody Welch. I would honestly have to say that my pick for the win tonight is going to be that 85 truck of Cody Welch. At this point in time, he's been so aggressive, and I feel like he can do it. He can make it happen. I feel like he's going to be right on the rear bumper of the 8 of Kevin Foster, and I think he's going to pull into victory lane tonight. That's my guess at the very least.
I like your thought process there, and I'm going to go with you with the idea that it's somebody on row 2, but I'm going to go with Aaron Smith on the top side. The 42 truck is just, it's just this natural poise he has. He's quick everywhere, and he just kind of plays to the situation around him. And I think in this 3-lap to the finish battle, that is going to be what you need. Work with what happens in front of you and make the smart decisions. I'm going to go with Aaron Smith, but here we go, 3 to go. Let's see what happens. And it could be Guzik, could be Foster, could be Lacey, could be Ramos, could be anybody in the top 10. But here we go. Foster's off, Guzik's off, Welch is off, Smith is off. Green flag for the 6th time tonight at Chicagoland. Only 3 laps to go. Brett Guzik to the top side. Not a great run from either guy in the second row, but they are not too far back. Davey Hendricks, the 21, further back, continues to charge. But Brett Guzik around the top side. He'll get the run off of turn number 2, and he'll try it into 3.
Yeah, Brett Guzik still got his nose up there on the outside.
Oh, here we go.
3 wide down the back straightaway for the lead. Cody Welch down to the bottom. Brett Guzik up to the top side. The 8 of Kevin Foster in the middle. Cody Welch is going to have the advantage off the corner. He's going to lead it off the corner. We'll see who leads it to the line, though. Lap 98 of 100, 3 wide, coming to the line. The 85 and the 8, they make contact. The 42 of Smith is going to be directly behind them. Side by side, the 85 and the 8 for your lead.
2 laps to go. What a battle. 2 rows of double file, and don't forget about Benjamin Lacey. He may be in the best spot of anybody. But coming to the white flag next time by, Foster's getting a push from Guzik. Smith is giving a push to Welch. Now Foster comes down to the bottom line to protect. He should keep the spot coming to the line. But the question is that final lap. He might be a little bit too far ahead. Henry is spinning. Will we get a caution? We won't. We're going to the white flag, so the race will end here. Hunter Henry, the fan favorite, the driver profile goes around, but 3 wide. Hendricks up the middle. He's into Welch, into Lacey.
Lacey around.
Lacey's in the fence, so the battle will continue. Foster, Guzik, Smith. Smith down to the middle. He's trying to go to the top. We'll go to the finish. Foster on the bottom. Guzik on the top. 2 more corners to go. Less than half a mile to the finish. Down to the bottom, it's going to be Foster. Who will take it? To the line, side by side. It's going to be a photo finish. Smith will try the bottom. He's going to spin Foster. Guzik gets it. Finally, Brett Guzik. Oh my goodness, what a finish. And he makes it into victory lane. Congratulations to Brett Guzik. Holy cow, my blood pressure's got to be through the roof.
A well-deserved win for Brett Guzik, and a crazy finish there as Kevin Foster is going to come home with second after getting spun by the 42 of Smith, who will take away third position. Platt's going to come home in 4th, and the 85 of Welch is going to round off your top 5. A great finish there, and any of those top 3 drivers really could have won it coming down there. Coming down to the white flag. Great finish from all 3 of those guys.
Guzik's getting some love there from Jonathan Platt, giving him a bit of a tap. And we're going to go back and rewatch that final lap because there is so much that happened. Don't worry about that. Platt's going to do some burnouts too. He made his way to fourth, kind of under the radar. So props to Jonathan Platt. Nice celebration from Guzik here. The nice long-term backwards driving there, reminiscent of Toe Mater from the film Cars. And Mark Ellen Bivens actually earlier in this very same race as well. So shout out to both of those icons of racing. And here we go. Brett Guzik. Finally, man. I mean, Evan, we talk about him every week. I'm actually impressed that we didn't talk about him too much at all tonight. He was kind of a relative background character for some of the race there. It was kind of just a guy that was in the top 5, maybe the top 3 at best, but didn't lead a significant number of laps, and I think that was what he needed tonight to finally get over the hump.
Yeah, you know what? We vowed that we were going to talk. He was going to get that win. We were going to talk about him till he got that win. Then as soon as he got that win, we weren't going to talk about him again. And you know what? Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe we just need to not talk about him again. Let him fly under the radar, come in and wins. I'm sure he's happy as long as he's finishing up front like he did tonight here at Chicagoland. Started in second, started the outside pole position, and brought it home in first place. Going to be bringing it, grabbing the checkered flag, and heading to victory lane, the 04 at Guzik.
So before we go to your race results, as I mentioned, we're going to go back and watch that entire last lap. So stick around if you want to figure out, like I do, what in the world just happened. So this was, okay, let's pause for context. So this is turn 1 on the final lap. So you see Hendricks here gets a great run. Like the 21 was flying. Again, if you asked me right here in this moment who was going to win, Hendricks would have factored into my mind for sure. But here we go. So through turn 1, gets a little bit too low, does Davey Hendricks, clips Welch, which kind of unsettles his truck. Lacey on the top line, see the 7, he gets hooked as Hendricks and Welch get together. Lacey in the fence, that was, again, real life racing, that would have been a bad wreck. But further up in the field, so Platt kind of dropped out of the equation, but was still in contention for the podium, provided this happened a little bit differently. But the run to the finish, that's what we want to see. So there we go. It's side by side, Guzik and Foster. Foster was ahead by about a car length coming up to the line, and then this was important as well. So we're going to focus on this a little bit more. So let's go from Aaron Smith's perspective, because he had a perfect view of this whole situation. This is a moment that Aaron Smith is, I'm sure, going to be replaying in his head all week, because came so close here. So here we go. Side by side, Foster is not going to get the run. Guzik was quicker off the top. So I think Foster was going to need to squeeze him, but Aaron Smith there tried to go to the apron. Foster tried to block, kind of gave up on the win there. Instead, thought about second over the win there and just tried to hold on to any spot he possibly could. But yeah, kind of surprised Foster didn't try to squeeze him a little bit more. It was so close, Evan. Like, what a finish there.
Yeah, I think Foster, he really knew that 42 truck of Smith was going to have such a good run. He had to do anything he could to block it, but he had an even bigger run than he thought, and by the time he got down there to block it, he was just sending himself off the nose of the 42 truck, and it ended up losing the race for both of them and letting Brett Guzik really run away with it. But just a great finish from both of those guys. Nothing that really any of them could have done differently. I don't think the 42 just doing everything that he could, trying to get every little bit of advantage that he could from that run, and doing everything that he could to try and maximize it. Tried to stay out of the grass as much as he could. Tried to stay out of the 8 of Kevin Foster, but Kevin Foster was just trying to block, unfortunately, a little bit too late. And Brett Guzik coming away with the win.
Yeah, that was the definition of hard racing there, and that is what we love to see. So great battle to the finish. Hope you guys all enjoyed that. And again, Brett Guzik, there's his win. Good for him, man. Here you go. Your final results tonight at the Sly Job 100 at Chicagoland, presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. So Brett Guzik, your race winner tonight in the 04 truck, narrowly pips both Kevin Foster and Aaron Smith, who still make the podium. And I'm sure they'll have plenty of thoughts here in the post-race interview with how close that battle was. They round off the podium. Then Jonathan Platt, a great result for the 43 truck. He's had kind of an up and down season, but there was a most definite up. He will finish in 4th. Cody Welch there, some last lap chaos, put him in 5th, where he could have been a little bit higher up into the podium spots, but still a nice bounce back for Cody Welch. He's definitely in contention with the points. Consider him almost a playoff lock, provided he can show up to the rest of the season. Then it's Eddie Hagee finishing in 6th. Another great race from the 97 truck. I will fix his privateer tag there for next week, but his first race with his new picture, his new number, and he put it to good use, comes home in 6th. Benny Hogan there, so quick in practice, so quick in qualifying, was quick in the race, but in the end, with all that last lap chaos I just mentioned, 7th is all he could muster, though a great points day for him, great race overall. excited to see how he follows it up next week at Michigan. Then we got Daniel Stein coming home in 8th, another good spot for him as well. John Graham, too, I believe his first career top 10 in the Bandit Racing League. And Curtis Yancey was involved in numerous wrecks here. I believe caused 2 cautions in some form. Not that he was at fault, but that he was the truck that brought it out. Regardless, comes home for 10th, so not bad at all for the 51.
Yeah, then 11th position is going to be the 13 truck of Christopher Ferrara, your race sponsor for tonight, followed by the 64 truck of Ricky Hart Jr. coming home in 12th position. After him was the 83 of Greenwell in 13th. A lot of big names through there, including the 10 of Matt Crockett directly behind them. Mark Allen Bivens in the 76, winding up in 15th position after that little bit of trouble there near the end. He was one of the guys that was competing for the win, but unfortunately got caught up in an accident there. Behind him, the 6 of Gary Wright, followed by Davey Hendricks, who had that trouble finishing in 17th position. Then Michael Ramos, Peter Murphy, and Hunter Henry in the 94 truck coming home in 20th position.
Just very quickly before we go forward to answer Brian's question in the chat there was no yellow flag before the white flag came out. We got the white, and then it was a little bit too late for Hunter's wreck to cause yellow. So no, there was no yellow in the end. So pure racing. Unfortunate for the guys that went around on the final lap. But to continue in 21st, Benjamin Lacey there was in the top 5, top 10 on the final lap. Could have very well gone for his second win of the season, but unfortunately will end up a lap down after a serious wreck on the final lap. Then it's Steve Orrick, 22nd. Bill Harkins, our very own leader of the series, finishes in 23rd. Terry Condis comes home in 24th. Connor Sawyer, who was up in the order quite a ways into tonight's race, but unfortunately some early chaos put him back in the order, and he will come home in 25th. Anthony Caetano finishes 26th. Jackson Knock in 27th in the 00. Then it's Nolan Gross in the 28. David Leakey was doing well for himself early, but he finishes 11 laps down, no doubt as a result of some incidents as well. Sorry, that's 14 laps down. The same lap as Cale Zook, who had such a good race tonight. Again, a shame both those guys find themselves outside of, the top 20, top 10, or potentially even the top 5.
Yeah, then coming home in 31st position is going to be the 23 of Victor Weaver, 17 laps down. Behind him, Trey Ellis, 23 laps down. Then Jeremy Elaine, 28 laps down, coming home in 33rd position. Good to see him. Of course, that's not what you want to see your first time out, but good to see a new name out nevertheless. Behind him in 34th is going to be Connor Zook, 29 laps down. Then Brandon Jackson, 44 laps down in 35th position. Unfortunately, that trouble. You saw the 99 lead so many laps, but got into that big wreck. Then followed by him is Roman Henry, 59 laps down, coming home in 36th position.
And that'll round off your final results for tonight's event in the Slide Job 100s. Sorry, Slide Job exclamation point. And I'll say it in the Dale Jr. accent again. So Slide Job, there you go. So the Slide Job 100 here at Chicagoland Speedway, a great race, a great finish. Back to form in the Bandit Racing League. That's what we like to see. And now it's time for an interview I've been looking forward to for a long time. Let's pull him into the booth. Race winner tonight at Chicagoland Speedway. It is Brett Guzik. Let's get him in the booth. Just got to find him first. There he is. And here we go. First interview of the night with your race winner. Hey, Brett, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I've got a copy.
Brett, you are here. You have done it, and you did it in such exciting fashion. Just from your perspective, walk us through those last 2 laps and that final 2 turns to the finish.
Well, I really think it starts even before that. I feel like I was just trying to be patient through most of the first half of the race. I ended up racing there with Davey in the latter parts. Even got nerfed a little bit, but it didn't knock too much speed out of the car. And I just tried to be patient, and I got a few lucky breaks, and the streak is over. It's over.
It is, and I mean overall from start to finish, you just ran such a solid race. I know that fuel strategy and tire strategy definitely came into effect and made it kind of hard to predict. But what about tonight's race worked to your effect, and do you think made you kind of the guy to beat there on that final lap?
I think I was just comfortable running side by side with people. I felt like I was relatively comfortable, just at least being able to outflank people. That's what it took to win there, I guess, at the end. Kevin could have thrown a block there coming out of 2, but he raced me very fairly, and we just barely nicked it out there at the end.
I mean, speaking of Kevin, I mean, you two are longtime veterans of the series. You guys have been around here for so long. You've had so many great performances. Do you think there's anything to be said that when you're racing against a guy like Kevin that you've, again, raced against for years, that you know is a safe driver, you know is going to be sportsmanlike, does it give you any sort of comfort racing against a guy like that in final laps is such an important, such a chaotic, tight to the finish race?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he'll have to listen to this, but I feel like it is actually somewhat of an advantage because I have raced against him so much that I felt like I knew what he was going to do kind of there in the last few laps, and I just tried to play to that strategy and just try and do whatever I could to eke it out.
And you eke it out indeed, and it's happened, Brett. The streak is over. You get the win, and that's not to say you haven't had tons of podiums this season, because you have. And I think now that we got to think about the big picture, now that you have that win, I mean, you'd be one of my favorites for the championship. You've proved yourself at a variety of different tracks. You're locked into the playoffs for sure. So now you kind of have that peace of mind. You can refocus before we head off to already forgetting where we start the playoffs. But you're ready to go. And from your perspective, it's a question I've asked pretty much every new race winner this season. But what's the bar this year? Do you have that confidence that I have in you that this could be a top 4, potentially even championship year if you can get the jump on those guys like Nick, like Cody, like Aaron?
I think if I don't try anything too crazy, I think if I just stick to the strategies that work out, 90% of the time, then I'll be in contention to run on the podium pretty much most of the weeks. It's just kind of down to that. It ends up being strategy, at least maybe 50-50 of the time. And then it kind of comes down to the last 10 laps of the race of, who ends up on the podium. So that's kind of what I kind of tried to work into this race. I just made sure that I would, stay in the top 5 within the last 20 laps. And if all the cards fell right on the restarts and everything, then I would end up, at the front.
And in the front, you end up indeed. Congratulations, Brett. There was your win. And again, we've talked to you a couple times so far this season, and now it's your chance. You get to be the first interview of the night in our new, semi-new format with how we're doing the interview for the race winner first. But you know what to do. If you got anybody at home watching you want to shout out that witnessed this great moment in series history, or any sponsors you want to talk about, just anything you want to mention.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank my family, just everybody who ends up watching the stream, and anybody who's going to watch it tomorrow, who's going to watch this interview. I also just like to thank Davey, Kevin, Cody for putting on a good race tonight. And even though Nick Nickerson's not here, kind of wish he was, just so we would have that little bit more of competition here tonight. But just like to thank all those guys for also admitting the league, and as well as Matt Crockett and Bill Harkins for kind of putting on this show every week, as well as you two, Marshall and Evan. You guys do obviously a great job, and it allows us to do everything that we want to do in this type of league, and just be able to show it off. And thank you for that.
Well, thank you too, Brett. And I mean, finally, knowing the work you put into the series, I always see you at the practices. I know you put a ton of work into this, and it always pays off for you. But finally, bouncing back from a chaotic week last week, we made a lot of changes. And tonight, to have a great race and to have a winner that I know puts the effort in and I know deserves it more than maybe anybody else, it feels good. And I'm so happy for you, Brett. Congratulations, man. Go on next week. Go to Michigan. Try to make it 2. Become the 3rd driver to get 2 this season. Join Brandon and Nick. And hopefully Nick will be back next week, because you're right. There was something kind of missing tonight. But you go give him heck for us, and we'll see you next week at Michigan.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you. And there you go. The first interview of the night with Mr. Brett Guzik is over. And wow. I mean, Evan, it's finally happened. He got his win. Are you as excited as I am right now?
I am so glad to see it. It was such a long time coming. You hate to see that guy that he always has the bad luck strike, and I was really hoping that tonight wasn't going to be one of those nights as well. It almost was. It was a great battle to the end, but overall a great job from Brett Guzik. Really all night, able to come home with the win. And you know what, now, after tonight, I'm going to try and talk about him as much as I can the rest of the night, because after tonight, I'm not going to talk about him anymore until he gets in the booth with us again, which, I am sure will not be long at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, he does all the time. And I mean, this isn't to say we didn't believe Brett was a great driver, because we've said that all season. when I think of like top 5, top 10 best, Brett Guzik is somebody that's just assumed at this point. And top 5, top 10 in this series is saying a ton. What a year we've had! So many talented drivers, and he's in that upper echelon. And that's why when I get to the playoffs, I want to see that aggressive attitude from him. I want to see that killer instinct, because if he can find that, oh man, he's going to be a guy to watch out for. But another guy to watch out for who hasn't quite found his way into the victory lane yet this season, though he comes so close yet again. Former points leader and a guy who may take over the points lead once again with Nick's absence tonight, Mr. Kevin Foster. He's your second place finisher tonight at Chicagoland, and he is down in the booth with Mr. Evan Wall.
Hey, Kevin, this is Evan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes.
Well, you had a great run tonight. I love seeing you up here in the booth because, in my mind, when I think of some of the best drivers here in the Bandit Racing League, obviously you're one, but especially you're one of those drivers that seemingly comes out of nowhere. Is that really your strategy? I know I think of you as one of the most patient guys that there is. You're not one that's going to really go dominate the first half of the race and then lose it in the end. If anything, it's the opposite. So was that really your strategy coming in, to just hang out and then be there at the end?
Yes, my strategy was, get the first half of the race over, get through the first couple tire stints. I knew we had a double stint set of tires there, and just log some laps. And then, like you said, you can't win on lap 1, but be there at the end.
Well, yeah, you definitely did a good job of it, and that's really what I think of when I think of you. You're obviously one of the best drivers at doing that. I believe, I don't know where it was, one of your other wins last season. Obviously, that's really what you did then, and I've thought of you in that way ever since. You're one of the best drivers that I can see do it. But your partner Nick Nickerson, he wasn't here today. Your teammate, but you really stepped up in his place. You had a great run there at the end. You were obviously there at the end, and you almost made it happen. So kind of talk us through really that last restart, those last couple of laps, and what almost got you the win here tonight.
Oh, the green flag drop, I was able to actually get out in front, and had a good push down the backstretch from Brett, and then somehow the 85 got a big run on me, and going into turn 1, we were 3 wide. The 85 came up a little bit, got into my left front, which put a little damage on the left side, so I lost a little aero there. And then coming off a 2 on the last lap, I was gonna go up, close the door, block off Brett, but I didn't want to do that. That's not who I am. And sent it down in there, never lifted. And I thought I was going to be able to come back around him. Had the momentum on the low side, but unfortunately, fortunately, it didn't happen. It was a clean race. I think the 42 got a good run off the corner. He got on my inside. We made a little contact, but P2 and one of the closest finishes here in the Bandit Racing League in its history. 0.09 seconds, so less than a tenth of a second between first and second. Hell of a race. Hell of a race.
Yeah, it was one of the best races that I have ever watched here. It was a great finish. It was a lot of fun to watch the whole race, not just the finish, but the finish especially was a lot of fun to watch. And I think we got a lot of fun tracks coming up soon. So next week we're going to Michigan. How do you feel about that? We've got Michigan, Road America, Texas, Las Vegas. How are you feeling about those?
Michigan, great track for me. 2 seasons ago, and the season before that, I won both races at Michigan. So a lot of confidence heading into to Michigan. The last time we ran the trucks, season 6, I think it was, won there as well. So love Michigan, great track. It's gonna be pack racing. It's gonna be tight racing, and just like tonight, it's gonna be survive and definitely be there at the end. And hopefully, you got a teammate to work with. Hopefully, Nick's back next week, and therefore 1-2 finish for GFR Motorsports.
Hey, that sounds like a great plan. Hopefully, you guys can go out and execute it there at Michigan next week. Always love to watch a driver when we know that he's coming in with a lot of confidence. So I'm sure you'll be a lot of fun to watch next week. And I'm sure it won't be too long before you're the first interview of the night. But you know what time it is? It's the end of the interview. It's where you get to shout out whoever you want to shout out. So you can go ahead and take the microphone and take it away.
First off, thank you guys for putting on a hell of a race broadcast for all of us. Thanks, Bill, for the racing series. that he leads, and thank the sponsorship, Big Red Propane. Frank, thank you. Suena de Atzo's on the truck. Thank you, Jay, and all the fans out there watching. Love to see all you guys' comments in the section. I love you guys cheering on your favorite driver out there. Keep it up, and see you guys next week.
Sounds good. We will see you next week, Kevin.
All right, guys. Thank you.
And there you go, your second interview of the night with second place finisher Mr. Kevin Foster. And yeah, I mean, that's exciting, Evan, because to know that next week, you know, he's been quick at Michigan in the past, almost dominant based on the way that he described it. So yeah, there we go. Now that was 7 winners on the season to this point. Now with the first win of the year for Mr. Brett Guzik. So potentially 8 next season. The 8th win of the season could be the 8 truck of Kevin Foster. There's some parallels there. And again, Michigan's one of my favorites. So sign me up for what could be a second great race in a row in this season. And again, I don't know about you. We'll put up the schedule very quickly again, just while I get your final interview of the night prepared with third place finisher Mr. Aaron Smith. But there's the schedule for the rest of the year, and I am pumped for it. I mean, Michigan next week, it's a great track. Road America in 2 weeks. Trivia's back. Final round of the Rogue Energy triple header. It's a road course. Nickerson's redemption for last season when he was pipped but to the win by Ashley Molyneux. He needs some revenge there. It's going to be a great next couple weeks, Evan, and I hope you're as excited as I am.
Yeah, I definitely am excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really don't have anything else to say. Hopefully, all you guys are going to stick around. Hopefully, all you guys that are here are going to stick around for all those, and tell your friends how much fun it is to watch this. This really has nothing to do with anything, but I just got a text from my girlfriend, and she has never had any interest in racing whatsoever. And she just watched this night's race and a couple of the previous ones just because I've been commentating. And I have to say, I believe that I have made a fan out of her. So you know what? Even if somebody doesn't like racing, tell them to give it a chance. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of entertaining. It's a lot of excitement. Just tell all your friends about it. Tell all your friends about it.
Yeah, we'll keep giving you guys great races like this, and by we, I mean, well, mostly the drivers. They do all the heavy lifting, but we do our best to present it in the best way possible. But yeah, provided we can get a good streak of races like this going, such fun events, get some people out here, get some new fans in the chat, and I do recognize, I sometimes I'm too focused, too busy to really talk about each and every comment we get, but I promise you, each new name I see or each returning face that shows back up again, it means so much to me. I know it probably means just as much to Evan, so thank you guys for always, for anybody you bring in, anybody you get to watch, any drivers who bring friends and family to watch, and those of you that see one of these races for a week, even if they're not always perfect, some of the short tracks have been a little rough this season, but you come back the next week and we have a barn burner like this, and it's all worth it. And yeah, shout out to your girlfriend there, Evan, for making the switch over, and hopefully she'll be tuning in each and every week, and maybe we can, I've had a plan for a friends and family loved ones race for quite a while, so maybe we can get her in the truck like you were last week or something like that. But now, final interview of the night, Mr. Aaron Smith the second, in third, not second, but Aaron Smith the second is in third, and man, what a season he's been having. Another podium on the resume for the 42 truck. Let's bring him in the booth, and just how do you stop this guy? Here he is. Aaron Smith is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Marshall.
Welcome back, Aaron, and just, I know, so heartbreakingly close to the win there. What a finish you guys had there to the line. You, Kevin, and Brett were just flying those last couple laps. You get on the podium again. You were so quick from start to finish, but there was that one little element that you were missing there at the end. What do you think it was in those last 2 laps that just unfortunately meant you weren't able to make it up to Kevin and Brett?
Yeah, every time I'd get a good run there, they'd be one step ahead of me, and unfortunately, I made a little mistake coming out of turn 4 there. I shot it down below Kevin to try to make a move below him, and I had to turn it back right to make sure I didn't go through the grass because I took a pretty odd angle out of 4 there. But unfortunately, we caught him and ended up costing him a shot at the win. But it didn't change the final standings too badly, so I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. No harm, no foul. I mean, Brett had a great run off of 4 anyway, so you can almost say it might have been exactly how it would have turned out in the end. But Chicagoland, it's kind of a new track, kind of the outside of the box pick, especially as it's kind of defunct from the NASCAR calendar nowadays in the top 3 series. So, you're somebody who I know has been all over the circuit when it comes to NASCAR and stock car racing in general. What makes Chicagoland unique to you, and how are you trying to prepare for it differently than any other race in this season so far?
Just like most of the cookie cutters, I usually try to keep my steering ratio pretty low there to keep the tires from wearing too badly. It usually helps me over the course of the race. I think it helped me a lot in that last run. I was flying through the field there, and unfortunately, I came up just a bit short. But otherwise, it was a pretty fun race.
In terms of the strategy, I mean, that's always kind of a question mark in terms of these races at the intermediates where we don't really know whether we're going to get a caution at all. I mean, tonight we kind of, cautions breed cautions, as we always say. We got 6 in the end, but that was kind of because once we got 1, the field packed up, and it happened over and over. But in terms of the race as a whole with strategy, when you're assuming it's going to be a green flag to the end race like that, what is your kind of default strategy in those races? And then once it starts to get confusing, what is your mindset as a driver to figure out what's going to be best?
Well, when it comes down to the cautions, breed cautions at the end of the race, like you said, I usually want to pit as soon as I can to get that track position, because I was worried that whoever it was that pit there for tires, the latest, ended up having to come through the field and ended up having a wreck. But I was worried that he was going to come up and end up being a factor at the end there, so I was definitely double guessing myself or whatever. But fortunately, getting the tires sooner than the rest of the field, or later rather, made the difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, for our final question tonight, Aaron, I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenario. So let's say you have a magic wand. You can pick any track for the final race of the season in this series. You can pick a chaotic short track race with lots of cautions where being up front is key. You can pick an intermediate race like tonight where cautions are relatively scarce and it becomes more about strategy. You can pick a super speedway where all assumed luck and all understanding of the series goes out the window. Or you can pick a road course and you can try to hold off Nick Nickerson. Knowing your season so far, knowing your abilities, what would you pick in that scenario as your go-to race to get a win at the end of the year?
Oh, it would absolutely be a road course. I mean, with these tracks that we've been to tonight and last week, and like the super speedways, short tracks, and intermediates and all that, the field is so close together, you can't really predict what's going to happen next. And I feel like road courses, you definitely have it puts more in the driver's hands over the course of the race, and I'm much more comfortable with that than running these kinds of races. But it's pretty fun either way.
Fair enough. Well, we got a road course coming up in just a couple weeks at Road America, so Nick didn't win it last season, and well, you can make it 2 in a row for him this year. We're seeing your sophomore performance. I was just talking about a couple minutes ago, how quick you've been on the ovals, and you came in being expected to be a road course guy, so that should speak to just how scary you're going to be when you get to Road America. But that's a couple weeks away. In the meantime, we got Michigan. But also in the meantime, to round off tonight's broadcast, you've done this before. You've been in the podium, well, a number of times. This might be your 5th of the season, so now's your time. You have the microphone, as Evan said in the last interview, so if you want to talk about some friends and family watching, some sponsors, or anything you'd like to speak about.
I'd like to thank the folks at the Bandit Racing League for putting the show on, and the folks at Satellite Racing for their support, and everyone for watching, y'all for broadcasting, and everyone else involved. I'm looking forward to next week.
Awesome, as am I. See you next week, Aaron. Have a great rest of your week. Celebrate the 3rd, and let's see if you can get a second win at Michigan, and potentially become the first third-time winner at Road America.
All right, thank you.
And with that, your final interview of the night with Mr. Aaron Smith II is over, and just Aaron Smith, what even do you say? I mean, from start to finish this season, he has just been a wrecking ball of a driver, and not in the sense of he causes a lot of wrecks or anything like that, but just he's so darn destructive in the overall standings. Like, if you see Aaron Smith in the top 10, chances are he's about to be in the top 3 just like that. So Aaron Smith, what a driver, and another podium. He's, I talked about a moment ago how Brett Guzik, if he can figure a couple things out, would be a definite pick for me for potentially the championship 4 at the end of the season. Aaron Smith, to me, is almost in that Nick Nickerson tier at this point. Just every week in, week out, he finds a way to get it done. And, I'm honestly surprised he doesn't have win number 2 on the season yet. But Road America, that's the one I'm looking forward to. You all know that I love road courses, and I love watching competitive races, especially we're seeing these days. We're seeing more competitive oval races than we ever have in this series. And now we get to go back to a road course finally, and we see if all that competition and that parity carries over. But end of the race, Evan, just, I feel so good to be back in the winner's column when it comes to great races tonight. From start to finish, we had great battles, and that finish was great. Just, where do you put this in the hierarchy of all-time races in the series you've done?
All-time races in the series that I've done, this is probably, I can't think of one that beats it off the top of my head. When we did that dirt race a couple weeks ago, this is probably battling that. This probably just barely edges that one out. This is my favorite. Dirt race at Knoxville is probably my second favorite. That's what I'd have to say right now. That they've just both been a lot of fun. There's probably some more that if I think about it a little harder, I could put up there. But right now, this was just such a good race. Maybe it's just because I'm in the moment of it, but this was my favorite race to broadcast. It was a lot of fun, and I feel like the next couple of weeks are honestly going to be just as fun. Guys are just getting better and better, and the racing is just going to get better and better with that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like once we get a great racetrack that really plays to our skills as a series, tracks that are a little bit wider, have more room when cautions come out, have room for stuff like Slide Job. Slide Job 100, got to mention it again. Thank you, Christopher Ferraris, for sponsoring tonight. It's such a fun title. Again, we were so locked into the action that Slide Jobs kind of just seemed second nature. Like, it didn't feel like a thing we could shout out every time because it was just kind of how any pass happened. So it was such a good race. Picked a perfect one to sponsor, Chris. So thank you as always for these kind of fun themes for your sponsored events. And hopefully, I think we got one more in the season, so I can't wait to see what that turns out to be. But yeah, there we go. We are down at Chicagoland, race number 9 in the season. We got 7 guys locked into the playoffs now, and if Kevin Foster can follow up his kind of called shot there for Michigan next week, we could make it 8. But yeah, here once again is your schedule for the rest of the season. So next week we are at Michigan, then it's Road America for the second road course of the season. Then we go to Legacy, Texas in a couple weeks. Then it's Las Vegas for 2 back-to-back intermediates. Then it's Phoenix, which had a great race last year, and Nick Nickerson's home track. So when he returns next week, I'm sure that'll be one he's looking out for, as well as Road America. Then it's Auto Club to round off the season. That was the track that I first did a broadcast in this series, and please don't go watch it. It was horrible, and I was very underprepared, but I like to think since then we've improved. So it'll be good to conquer my demons and get back to Auto Club. So there we go. That'll about round it off for tonight. We got done in pretty quick time, so hopefully you guys can go enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. Get ready for the pending work day tomorrow. And sorry to remind those of you who were so locked into the racing action that that's going to happen. But Evan, before we head off, do you have any final thoughts before we leave?
I really don't. Just tell everybody that, even if you don't think they'll be interested, do what you can. Try and convince them to come watch a race, because really something like this, if people start watching this, then it's just going to lead to more people watching actual racing, real life racing. And racing is on a decline, especially, the support your local short track movement is really a thing. And I feel like iRacing is such a great way to get people into it, whether it's just getting them into watching that or whether they decide that they want to get iRacing. It's a thing that people don't realize that they'll like. And then once they really experience it, once they feel it, once they can watch it and see how much excitement and how much fun it really is, it really gets them interested in it. And I feel like this is just a great starting point. So, sit down with people if you can. If you got anybody that you think might be interested, try and get them to watch a race. That's all I'm going to end this with.
Perfect. Couldn't have said any better myself. Yeah, it never hurts to try to get more people into racing. And if the industry succeeds, we here at the Bandit Racing League succeed. So get some people out, get them to watch this. Tune in next week for Michigan, and I can't wait. I feel better about the series than I maybe ever have. I'm so excited, so optimistic for the future, and can't wait for the playoffs to show up. There's so many contenders this year, and just what a season 9 is turning out to be. So thank you as always, guys, for watching here in the Slide Job 100 at Chicagoland. Here once again is the logo for tonight's race. Also, I'm going to shout out Evan Wall Media again quickly, our very own Evan Wall. He does all the graphics in this series, any of the logos, any of the race broadcast logos. Go check out his website. It's linked in the description. So any of his portfolio stuff, or if you're looking for a paint scheme, just like Brandon Jackson's, one of the best in the series, was made by Evan, as well as many others. So keep an eye out there. We'll plug Evan because he absolutely deserves it. Does tons of work there in the background. And Bandit Racing League website, as always, feel free to go check it out. There's some new stuff there pretty much every week. They're always trying to add to it. So go check it out. And that'll about round it off tonight for the Chicagoland Speedway Slide Job 100. I am Marshall Crocker alongside Evan Wall, and we will see you all next week at Michigan. Thank you for watching one of my favorite races in a very long time.
Absolutely.